We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulties.
What is going on, YouTube? Michael J. Crawford, the Anti-Tricker here, and I know I'm streaming early. There's a couple of reasons. I'm actually not planning on wrapping up early tonight, so this is going to be a little bit longer. Oh.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
And thank you, Thomas, for the $1.99 to kick off the show. I appreciate it. And by the way, let me know, is the super chat way too loud still? Because I'm going to try to adjust that as the night goes on. I'm not planning on wrapping up early. I'm going to wrap up probably about my normal time, which is probably about 3 hours or so from now. So it'll be a little longer than a normal stream, but I wanted to start early just because I told you guys that, I would try to do a little bit longer than normal stream. Also, so today I got the Note 10 Plus. Very excited. So in no small part due to my employer is the reason that I have this phone. So I figured that a couple of people have asked me about it, wanted to know a real world comparison, not just people, that are trying to sell it or anything. And Darth says, no, but I'm a little quiet. Let me see. Oh, you know what? I think I accidentally turned my microphone down. Try that now. Tell me if that sounds better right now. Anyway, so at a glance, it is very hard to tell the difference between the prior version of the Note and this one. Now, my old one is actually the Note 8, but the Note 9 is virtually identical. It's just an upgraded version of the Note 8. So here is, gotta move over a little bit. This is the Note 8 that I've been using for the last few years. And this is the Note 10 Plus. Now, as you can see, really very similar in size, very similar in overall design. But this is where I think the Note 10 is a definitive improvement on the Note 8 in a couple of key factors. Mainly the screen. I'll tell you that if I turn on the Note 8, okay, so you can see the screen area. If I turn on the Note 10, look at that difference. That is a phenomenal difference in the size of the screen, even though the phones are very, very close in size to each other. The Note 10 is an expensive phone, so I don't know that I would recommend it if somebody has a Note 8. Would I say, oh, do you have to get the Note 10? No. Unless you happen to, depending on who your wireless carrier is, if you happen to, because this is the 10 Plus 5G. So this is a fully 5G phone. So if you live in an area where 5G is currently available or about to be available, this is a must-have. If you don't know anything about 5G, holy crap, is it going to be incredible when it hits. But I mean, you can power your home internet on 5G. It's just crazy. But but if you're not in a 5G and you have something like a Note 8, I would say just stick with it. The camera is definitively better, the screen is definitively better, and all that. But it is would I tell people to rush out to the store and drop $1,000 on a phone? Probably not. Anyway, that's my not my short version, but let's get to the chat, and then we're going to talk some space engineers tonight. That's the real meat and potatoes of tonight's stream, is going to be all about space engineers. So Thomas was first and in the chat as usual. Thank you, Thomas. And by the way, I didn't see, I know you said Kuroga sucks, but you did not request a super chat. So let me know what you want, my friend. J-Roar was a very close second, but says first. Azine says, hey, how you doing? Not Ryan Johnson is here. I think Darth Maul claims to be first again. And Mike Richards here from Columbus, Ohio. J-Roar says, hi all, trust everyone had a wonderful day. Well, a busy day. I was out most of the first. Oh gosh, up until actually just a few hours ago, me and Mrs. Antchicker were running around. She had a doctor's appointment this morning, and then we had some errands to run and stuff. So I am pooped, to be honest with you. Yorktown is in the house, says hello. Bird says not loud here. Darth Maul says no, but you're a little quiet, and that's when I cranked up the volume. Chrono says, wow, you're on. Yes, streaming early today. Darth Maul thinks that the new volume is better. Chrono says you are a bit quiet. Mike Richard says better. Not much better sound-wise here. Okay. Chrono says turn it up to 11. Well, I kind of did, so let me know if it's better now, Chronos. June says I missed my Note 1. I didn't have the Note 1. My first Note was the Note 2, and I do love the Note line of phones. Oh, one other thing. And we'll find out, of course, as time goes on about this phone. When I first powered it up earlier today and started doing the transfer your contacts and all that crap, the phone got kind of warm. Now, since then, I haven't had any overheating thing, but I haven't done anything that's really pushed the processor. So I'm hoping that we don't have another debacle like the Note 7, I think it was. So yes. Let's see. Wesley is here and says, I'm here. No one is as crazy as Alexander, Dan Crenshaw, and Ben Shapiro 2024. Anti-Checker Dog is sleepy. We demand Galaxy Quest Part 3. Actually, you're thinking Part 4. No one beats Wesley's trading outpost prices. We'll see about that. Yes, and Galaxy Quest Part 4, I have been working on it. I didn't get much done today because we've been running around, but I should have Galaxy Quest Part 4 done for Monday release. And we're gonna have a few videos out next week, not just one like the last couple of weeks. So this is I feel it. We're turning things around here. Wesley says opening soon to all space engineers. Very cool. Chronos says I don't believe in smartphones. Anti-Checker. Well, you may not believe in them, but they are in fact real. This is definitive proof that they exist. So you may not believe that they exist. I know what you mean. Some people don't like them, and that's fine. I need them for my job. Josh or Rebecca, I think it's Josh is here, says, hail Doomcock. Oh wait, wrong chat. How you doing? I'm hanging in there, Josh and Rebecca. Bird says, I heard 5G makes you impotent. No, Bird, that's just what people told you to make you feel better. Mike Richards says, Quarks is fun. Yes, Quarks would be a great place. Somebody needs to build a Quarks in Space Engineers. That would be fun. And let's see, is Doomcock is still on? And Birdsway says, no, you ended at 5. I assume that's 5 Eastern, which would be just like a few minutes ago. Life with Matthew says, evening, Anti-Checker and all. Hey, Matthew. Let's see. And there goes the chat going crazy because it sucks. Let's see. Just joking, he stopped about an hour ago. Yeah. Cinnabon is in the house as well. Hey, Cinnabon. Kronos being jokey as usual, I know. Glad some peeps can be jokey. Absolutely. We can josh each other around a bit and always have fun. That's cool. Your voice volume is still really low. Yeah, is anybody other than Kronos having problems hearing me? Because if everybody else hears me clear and everything, then it could be your internet connection or something. You sound like I'm underwater. Interesting. Usually the morning chats are as I drive to work in the evening or as I drive home from work. Well, that's convenient, right? Uncle Raymond says D23 is going on right now. I am aware, and that's probably why the audience is a little smaller than usual, but I'm not going to watch it live. I'll just, everybody's going to put up videos with the highlights. And honestly, I'm so disgusted with these companies right now. I don't know the truth of the matter at this point. I only heard a little bit here and there that the whole thing with Spider-Man was actually just a big publicity stunt. And if that's true, then I have zero, and I mean zero, respect for Sony and Disney. If that was a publicity stunt, that's just sickening. Wesley says, I want to thank Cinnabon for keeping the server up. I've been so busy, I've hardly been on this week. Well, that's cool. And Cinnabon, thank you, yes. Both you and Wesley, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the incredible work you guys have put into keeping the server up and running. You guys are awesome. And by the way, if you're not on the server and you're interested in space engineers, you should check it out. The instructions for getting on our server are on antitrekker.com. And Chrono says, no, smartphones are not my god. I understand. Total Anthony says, sup, big fella. Hope you are well. For some reason, YouTube hasn't been notifying me when you start live streaming. Yeah, YouTube's kind of bad about that, which is one reason you can on antitrekker.com follow the streams and we'll send you a notification so that even if YouTube drops the ball like they usually do, we won't. Darth Ball says, you may not believe in smartphones, but they do believe in us. That's that. And Kronos is shivering at that thought. I know my volume here is fine. I can refresh. Yeah, try. Let me know if it fixes it. I can hear Anti-Trekker and I'm on my phone. Okay. And Mike Richards says, sounds good. So yeah, it seems like Kronos says just, you're the only one having a problem. It could be your internet connection or something. Like maybe, and even if your connection is solid, if there's like some latency along the way, that can cause that underwater type of sound. If you're getting a lot of packet loss or something. And let's see, Life with Matthew, I can hear you fine, but I also have the volume close to zero with the phone shoved in my ear to not disturb others. Okay, well, I will try not to yell too loud then if the phone is shoved in your ear. If your phone randomly vibrates in your pocket, it's just humping your leg. I will try to remember that. BIRDOPREY says, your streams are always the low sound on YouTube. I can hear it, but I have to turn it up quite a bit. That's interesting. I wonder why. Because it seems like, I mean, looking at the settings on my system, it shouldn't be too quiet, but we'll have to mess with that. I refresh, no change. Weird. They're showing the What If trailer. Very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's Josh here, and keep me posted, Uncle Remus, if something exciting happens. It's Josh. Josh here at Trekker. Are we going to get the worst episodes of Star Trek video? We will. Maybe not this coming week, because those videos take Mr. Miles a lot of time to edit. But yes, that's actually something that I've been working on behind the scenes as far as putting together that list. And it's tough sometimes. Tough. Mecha Random is in the house. Good to see you, ma'am. And says, seriously, F YouTube lately. Drop it for a minute, say hi, and leave a like. Thank you, Mecha. Thank you so much. And yeah, YouTube, it's been very, very frustrating to say the least. Haley Atwell's on the D23 on stage. Very cool. Son of a bitch. I restarted my browser even. Still no difference. That is weird. And so everybody's saying hail to Mecha because, of course, Mecha is a girl. So they're going to distract, of course. Now, just so you know, as I get into the game here, it's going to be a little more difficult for me. I won't be able to read all the chat. So please forgive me. I'm not BIRDOPREY where I'm going to play for 5 minutes and then read the chat for 20 and then play for 5 and then read the chat for 20 because that's BIRDOPREY's thing, not mine. I will, however, try to keep an eye on the chat. I have this screen here has the game. This screen here has the chat. So if I see the orange highlight, I'll at least glance on it and make sure it's not just a quick hi or something, and respond to what's going on. And then we will, and of course, anybody super chats, obviously I'll read that. But I'm going to try to get a little bit of work done in the game because we are working on the Goliath itself. And so let us hit the game button. All right, so here we are. And we are actually inside of the Goliath. We're completely remodeling it. So this is this whole area. Wesley says, I do have volume to the max. You always come in a little low. That is weird. I'm definitely going to try to figure that out, Wesley, because if I didn't know I was coming across so quiet until today. So, but thank you for letting me know. Mechanic is a girl? Mechanic? No, if you mean Mecha is a girl, yes. All right, so anyway, this is just, we're working on the Goliath. This med bay and stuff I just put here right before the stream just so that I would have a quick place to recharge without having to head back to the base every time or up to the bridge, which is on the other end of this massive ship. And Cronus is now saying, Mecha, forgive me. And Mr. Miles is here. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Miles. I was just talking about you. And by the way, if the game is too loud, let me know. If when I do stuff like that, it's too loud, I will adjust it. Mr. Miles says, reality is a lie. Down is up. Left is right. Black is white. Short is long. Wake up, sheeple. Okay. By the way, speaking, I don't know if you saw it today, Mr. Miles, but I posted on Twitter today a picture of brawny paper towels. Why did I post a picture of brawny paper towels? Because brawny has now officially gone woke. The brawny man has been a marketing staple for decades. And so that's Wesley, as far as I know, I don't even know exactly where Mars is. I don't believe we are anywhere near Mars. And you're an admin. You can find us just by going into the game. I know that Cinnabon did it, so I'm sure you can as well. The game is about the same sound level as your voice, very low. All right, so I don't want it to be at the same sound level as my voice because I don't want to get drowned out, especially if I do things that are a little louder. So let's go in and turn, well, it's pretty low. Sound volume, we'll bring it down to about there. And see if that's a little better. And yeah, I'm going to have to figure out why that, although actually what I should do is actually, let me see if I can, is there a way, I know there is, but yeah, I'm not sure. That's annoying. Wesley says, I've half finished trading outpost near Mars for the Turtistans. Well, shouldn't the trading station still be for everybody? I mean, aren't they supposed to be neutral? I don't want a trading station that's just for us and a trading station just for Kuroga. I thought the whole point of the trading stations was to have safe zones and all that. And anyway, also Wesley says, oh yeah, I already said I don't know where Mars is, so I have no idea. The game is about, I already read that. I'm waiting for Mr. Clean to go woke. Straight on male, white male's a logo. Ew, yeah, no kidding. And, when are they going to make Mrs. Butterworth's a different ethnicity other than black? I mean, isn't that stereotyping now? Sharon Carter returning to Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Okay, well, that's news, although not shocking or anything. And Corona says, I don't know my gender. Looks down. Oh, now I know. Actually, no, you don't. Remember, just because of, you got to get with the modern political climate. Just because you may have male genitalia does not mean you're a male, right? You got to remember that. And Alexander is in the house, throws 2 fake Canadian dollars in. Thank you so much, Alexander. I do truly appreciate it. And says, I want to speak on Discord about science fiction. Well, don't you have a Discord set up now? I thought you did. Hello, world.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky.
And, Kuroga is still on Earth. You said not to spy on Turtistan. Well, I know, Wesley, but I'm just saying, if you're asking me where I am, that's kind of... And here's the thing. The only reason I was asking you to not spy on us was because you were actively assisting Kuroga. Right? So that's the thing. No, I don't believe your fake news. What's fake news? I didn't give any fake news. But anyway, what I was saying, Wesley, is so I have. If you're going to be actively working for one of the factions, then it is inappropriate for you to use your admin powers to do things like view where people are. And that's just, now this is my opinion on it, but I don't think that it's appropriate for the admins to be active in the game and have access to their admin powers if they're going to take sides. Now, if you guys are doing like neutral stuff, like setting up trading posts and events and stuff like that, then I don't care if you know where I am because I know you're not going to attack me. However, and this was a little bit controversial, but it just what happened, is, we have been attacked directly twice in the game. And every time an admin was involved. So that's why I get a little concerned about that. Anyway, but as far as I'm concerned, Wesley, I know that you're doing neutral stuff right now, so I don't care if you look and see where we are. Mercer's is in the house. Says, I'm so happy I got G1 Soundwave, Nuzzsaw, I assume you mean Buzzsaw, Ravage, Laserpeak, Frenzy, Rumble, Starscream, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee 80s reissues. Very cool. And Alexander says, the girls on the toilet paper pack look really great. They look like the waitress at the Twin Peaks restaurant. Well, it's not toilet paper, it's paper towels, but yeah. And that's the thing. So on Brawny now, they actually, the Brawny man, like I said, has been a staple of marketing for decades. It's a dude wearing the red flannel shirt, and the whole point of the paper towels, their whole advertising shtick was that Brawny are very, very strong paper towels, and so they show a very, very strong looking man to kind of emphasize that, right? And he's dressed like a lumberjack, and because lumberjacks are tough, I guess, and all that. And I was but I was totally, I didn't really care, but whatever. But now so Brawny wants to. Hello world. And there goes Alexander. Says that let's see, did I take the picture with? Yeah, it was before I switched phones. So the picture is on the Note 8. All right, so I took this picture while I was there because I was dumbfounded when I saw this. So here is the new Brawny packaging. So notice they have 3 women wearing the exact same shirt that the dude has always worn, and each of them a different ethnicity, one black, one Hispanic, and one white. Which, by the way, is kind of racist. Where's the Asian woman? Huh? Alexander, wouldn't you agree? Where's the Asian woman? Where's the trans woman? Where is, where's the gay dude? Where's the black dude? Where's the Asian dude? They're obviously being racist, and they're obviously sexist, and I'm just dumb. I'm dumbfounded that these companies are all insisting on pushing the woke agenda. I'm really am, because I don't purchase paper towels based on politics, right? I don't care what the I don't even know what company manufactures Brawny. I don't care. I just want paper towels that work. And Alexander, how you can say the blonde is absolutely gorgeous? You can't even see anything but her mouth. But whatever. So, and that's the funny thing is that look at whoops, wrong phone again. If you look at that picture, they purposely cut off. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Miles. No left-handed people. They cut off these pictures, so you can't even see their face. What is this telling you? The only thing important about women are their breasts. That's what this picture is telling you, because the name Brawny is right across their boobs, and they won't let you look at their face because, my eyes are up here. Yeah, who cares? Just look at their boobs. That's what they want you to do. So, anyway. I digress. And so, let's see here. But let's see. Kat Dennings is on stage. She'll be in WandaVision. Okay. That's kind of an odd place for her to show up, considering that, as far as I know, Kat Dennings' character, I mean, she always hung out with Jane Foster, and Jane Foster, I don't think, had any kind of relationship with Wanda or Vision. So, yeah, I don't get that. Chrono says, Brawny PUBs, yes. And Mr. Rouse says, oh, hell, that's great. I want to buy Brawny now. Yes. Mr. Miles is a bra in that he supports titties everywhere. Mercer says, 1/3 the point I'm trying to make is that usually when I have been at work, I go into a break room and talk to others about movies. We get all excited. Star Wars, Black Panther, Die Hard, whatever. Okay. Oh, 1 out of 3. Okay, we'll see what 2 out of 3 is in a minute. I want that paper toilet. Can you send me some? I want that paper toilet. It's not paper toilet. It's paper towel. Maybe you don't have those in Canada, but yeah. And so now Mercer started out with 1 of 3 and then says, I'm not sure that's why I asked. Oh, looking for the new Brawny pick got me wondering, is anybody actually paying attention in college these days? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But yeah, I find it absolutely insulting, quite frankly, of all the crap that they're doing. And not just because, oh golly, they're picking on white men. No, whatever. You're going to be stupid, be stupid. But I find it insulting that these companies really think that people are going to change their buying decisions based on identity politics. And Alexander says, I want it. Send paper towel to me, please. Well, Alexander, go to your local store. Do they not have Brawny in Canada? I mean, it's not like it's a relatively unknown brand. It's a major. I don't know about Canada, but in the United States, it's one of the biggest. 2 of 3, but the conversation is never. But I wish the main character was black. We probably wouldn't object to such things, but the excitement is not about what check boxes. Exactly, Mercer. Yes, it will actually be 6 parts. Okay. Turned up the volume just for you. Thank you, Kronos. Yeah, I got to figure out what's up with the volume. One of these days, I think I'm going to have to get with a couple of you and just do an unlisted live stream and try to adjust things. And we'll wait for Mercer. Let's see. And Kronos is calling me a jerk now, but I'm not sure why. I thanked him for turning his volume up. Moon Knight series announced for Disney Plus. Very cool. Moon Knight, and if it's on, if it is on Disney Plus, then if my understanding is correct, that means it will be considered canon in the MCU. So that is very cool indeed. I do want to see if they do it right. I'm so nervous about Marvel right now, to be honest. Though that's the thing that's got me. Yeah. Those may be overstocked. The Brawny change was for Women's History Month in March. Oh, that could be. I had not seen that before. But at the same time, I still find it, yeah. I like the hairs of the girls on the paper towel pack. Okay. She-Hulk series announced for Disney Plus. Now that is great news, Uncle Ramus. That is very, very, very exciting to me. She-Hulk absolutely should be in the MCU. So I'll tell you, that's the best thing I've heard all day. Part 3 of Mercer's diatribe. Excitement to see movie is about the movie. What is the premise? How hyped am I? Studios start making their agenda down our throats in obvious ways. The actual films are less important. Yes. And Uncle Ramus says not interested. Are you saying you're not interested in a She-Hulk series? Because I'll tell you, then you don't know the She-Hulk very well. And I'm not trying to be insulting. If you the She-Hulk in her standalone comics was hilarious, and she was actually it was one of the few gender swaps that I liked, which was when Ben Grimm retired as the Thing for a while, because he basically after the Secret Wars just couldn't deal with being a monster and everything. But she filled in for him when after the Secret Wars, She-Hulk took the Thing's place as the strong person of the team, and I think she did a good job. Mercer, part 4 says, take Gillette, the company that pulled out a commercial during the Super Bowl telling men to man up. They were trying to use their corporate power to get involved in social issue for God knows why. Agreed. And no, they are talking about an $8 billion loss for it. People don't want agendas. They want to watch their movie. They want to use their razors. They want to live their lives. And then they don't want corporate conglomerates creating straw men of racism and sexism out there in the world before acting holier than thou and saying, we know how to fix it. And there is no part 7. I agree with you, Mercer. That's a very well said statement, all 6 parts put together. And you're right. I mean, that's the thing, is that these corporations think that this is what's going to, oh yeah, the next big thing is we all got to start talking about politics and being progressive and all that crap. When the truth of the matter is, no, you really don't. That's not something that anybody wants. It's like, I really don't need Gillette to tell me how to live my life. I really don't need Brawny to tell me how to live my life. What I need is a paper towel that is absorbent and razors that will not cut my face while cutting my beard. And I will tell you, I actually, Gillette makes great razors. I'm done with them. I do Harry's now. I won't touch a Gillette razor. And if Harry's comes out with some politically correct agenda, I'll switch to Dollar Shave Club or something. But as far as Brawny, nope, I'm not buying Brawny. Period. I'm done with, I'm, you know what? I am not the boycott kind of guy. However, it's obvious that if they want the, if that's the kind of audience that they're pandering to, they don't want me. So, okay, you don't want my money? I'll find someone that does. Mercer says, Gillette took an $8 billion loss, and why do you think Disney is suffering? Yeah, I think that Captain Marvel actually did hurt Disney. And I think that Star Wars really hurt Disney. But we'll see what happens in the future here, and whether Disney turns it around. They still can. They haven't gone off the deep end with the MCU yet, and there's only been one truly horrifically bad Star Wars movie. So is it at a point where everything is broken beyond repair? I don't think so, but only time, as they say, will tell. Jeff Goldblum is on stage. Well, I guess that means the Grandmaster will be back, but maybe they're going to do a Contest of Champions thing. That would be actually pretty badass if they did it well. I have a big supply of Gillette razors here. Once I'm empty, I'm done. Yeah, if you have some lying around, obviously I wouldn't say throw them away. You already gave them your money. Are you going to finish off the Borg review series or the SG1 review series? All you seem to do nowadays is live chats. Well, I'll tell you, there's a reason for that. And if you haven't been on the live streams and you don't know about it, the answer to that, and the short answer is yes. The long answer is I have been off work for about 3 months now because of a back injury that has been aggravated, and I've just been in ridiculous amounts of pain. It has been increasingly difficult for me to focus on much of anything for any period of time. This live stream, the live streams I can manage to get through because you guys are so encouraging and all that, but honestly, sitting down trying to write while you're in pain is extraordinarily difficult. And so I've been fighting my way through trying to do it, but, I just haven't been able to do it because of that. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to deal with, and actually the therapist specializes in dealing with issues of chronic pain, helping me basically try to get my groove back so that I can start producing videos again. And of course, I very much want to get back to work. So when that will hopefully happen very, very soon. But yes, that's the long version. Sorry to bore you with my sob story. I'm not, but that's just the way it is. Merce says the Spidey thing is the beginning of the crumbling in the MCU. Well, I still don't know about the Spidey thing because of what I heard as far as it being a publicity stunt, but we'll find out. And Wesley says, hang upside down, then try writing. Well, I don't have an inversion device. Otherwise, I would consider that. But yeah, that's not something that I happen to have. And let's see. Mercer's writing a new novel about a predestination, and I get a lot. Okay. And that's the thing. How's Turtistan doing? Well, funny you should ask, Springtime. If you really want to know how Turtistan is doing, then then you need to get one of your friends to do a $5 super chat and ask for UBERCHAT number 12. But in short, the war goes well. And yeah, that's about the short version. Mercer says, keep up the good work. Sounds like you're doing more than me. I tell you, it doesn't feel like it, but I will continue to try, and that's all I can do right now is do my best and hope that my best is enough. Wow, didn't realize the reason behind it. Thanks for the response. Hope you feel better soon and look forward to the series when you feel better. Thank you. And that's the thing. I know, trust me, I know there's a lot. I have, almost 9,000 subscribers, and a lot of them are pissed off because all I've been doing lately is live streams. And I get that. However, in every single case, whenever anybody's asked me and I straight up tell them this is what's going on, they, they basically, they understand. They're, you guys are cool. And that's one thing I love about my channel, Anti-Trekker, because I know that I finish almost all my live streams by saying, thanks for being the greatest group of people on YouTube. But I ain't kidding about that. You guys are freaking awesome. Because you know what? I've known other YouTubers that have gone through serious personal issues. And for example, Lore Reloaded, good friend of mine, right? Lore, and when I say good friend of mine, for those of you that don't know, I know I've said this a million times, Lore literally lives 10 minutes down the street. He's, we moved to Tennessee in part because Lore lived here. We're good friends. And he's a great guy. He recently was divorced. And as he was going through the divorce, and if anybody has ever been through a divorce or knows someone that's been through a divorce, it's a very difficult time for someone. And a lot of his subscribers didn't give a crap about him and basically were mad at him because he wasn't producing all the content that they wanted. And I'm sorry, but as much as I love some of the YouTubers that I personally like to watch, like Lore and BIRDOPREY and Mecha Random and Nerdrotic and Doomcock, those are probably my favorite YouTubers of all, in no particular order. And I really enjoy watching them. And also, some of the channels that I don't get to watch much, but really enjoy every time I do, like Rock Solid or Ensign Ricky and stuff like that. You know what? If they are all human beings, and when they're going through something, we need to step up and show them how much we care about them, not just demand that they do more work. Oh well, you may be going through a divorce, but I haven't seen that latest video about the Dominion War. Come on, that's just being a dick. And fortunately, as far as my subscribers, nobody has been a complete jerk about it once they understood what was going on. And so I'm totally cool with that. Mr. Plinkett wasn't on the list. I'm subbing. Well, I like Mr. Plinkett, but Red Letter Media, aside from the Plinkett videos, in my opinion, is subpar. I really think that Red Letter Media needs to stick with Mr. Plinkett because that stuff is gold. But almost everything else on their channel, quite frankly, I don't give a crap about. Anyway, but speaking of which, Rock Solid, and I don't know if you guys are, I know Rock Solid's got a pretty decent subscriber base, so I don't know how many of you guys are subscribed to him. However, Rock Solid suddenly, unexpectedly lost a family member, I believe yesterday. And so he's obviously not going to be putting out a lot of videos right now because he just drove down to Georgia to visit family. He said he's going to be heading back on Monday or Tuesday of next week. And hopefully, because he drives through the city I live in, Murfreesboro, he's going to drive through the city on the way home. So I'm hoping that we can like hang out and have coffee or something. But so if you're a subscriber of Rock Solid, make sure on whatever if he puts out a video, make sure you tell him that you're thinking about him, and that you hope that things go well. It's difficult when you lose a family member. I think you're right, Cronus. I think it was his grandfather, but I'm not 100% sure. That's the only reason I just say a family member. Anyway, so a few chats. Obviously, I'm way behind. Let's see. I've been around for that long. How did you hurt your back? Hope you feel better soon. Well, I hurt my back originally quite a while ago, but really what's aggravated it is my knee. And my knee went bad because I was a lineman. I used to for Comcast for quite a while. And if you've never had to climb telephone poles for a living, I will tell you that job is extraordinarily hard on your knees. And so what happened was I have a herniated disc in my back, which in and of itself is not the most severe thing in the world. But with the bad knee, and I've walked with a limp for about 15 years. And so that constant walking with a limp has aggravated the herniated disc to the point where it becomes unbearable. And imagine for a moment, forget about the level of pain for a minute. Imagine it for a moment that you're in pain, whatever level. This could be somebody pinching you 24/7 for 15 years. It gets to you. And I just hit a breaking point. I couldn't take it. And so fortunately...
Hello, world. I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
And... Night Breeze threw it a buck, but I didn't quite catch what he said because that screen wasn't open. So let me bring up my Streamlabs screen so I can see it. And what night? Yeah. I don't need to do that. All right. A small group who cares.
Hello, world.
Oh. Alexander, thank you.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
Night Breeze said, a small group who cares is much better than a million who don't. Your choice of super chat. You got it. And Alexander says, Jar Jar Binks was a wonderful character. Why hate? Well, I don't think Jar Jar Binks was a great character. Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be the plucky comic relief, right? That's what Jar Jar Binks was meant to be. The problem was that they made him a little too annoying. I didn't hate Jar Jar as much as a lot of people, but I certainly didn't like him. Put it that way. But as far as choice of super chat, well, I got to play my favorite. Ah, yes. The classic Death of Disco. And let's see. My friend is in pain all the time, too. Great pain. Yeah, it sucks, I will tell you. It really, really sucks. If they had done Darth Jar Jar like they originally planned, I think the prequels would have been a lot better. Well, I think the Darth Jar Jar thing was just a joke. I don't think that was ever the plan. I really don't. I could not see George Lucas doing that. I don't know if you ever heard, but the voice actor for Jar Jar suggested the Darth Jar Jar thing was the original plan, and fan outrage changed everything in a way it's kind of confirmed. I think that he did that as a giant troll. I really do. Night Breeze, I'm one of the few fans who will admit I enjoyed the prequels. I enjoyed the prequels, and I will tell you, no lie, probably my favorite movie-going experience of my entire life was going to see the Phantom Menace. And I'll tell you what. First of all, I was with the incredibly beautiful and very graceful Mrs. Anti-Trekker, and so that obviously makes it an improvement of anything. But in addition to that, I got to go to the world premiere. And I had never been to any kind of world premiere event, not before and not since. And I will tell you that that was an amazing thing to do. I've never, and so I was absolutely thrilled to be there, and it was just a blast. So. And I did enjoy the Phantom Menace. While I agree that I think Jar Jar was overdone for sure, but Darth Maul I thought was so cool. And even though on hindsight, it's one of those movies that after you watch it the first time, then you start thinking about it, and it's like, why the hell did they kill Darth Maul? Oh my God, he was so awesome. But they did, and so c'est la vie. And Renegade says the problem with Jar Jar is he was in most of the movie, even scenes when he should have been. You're quite correct. That was a major problem with the film. And look around your ship. Find the reddish planet. That is Mars. My first trading post is there. Well, let me see if I go out into space a little bit. Look for a red planet. Yeah, no idea. But Wesley, you know, if you're in, let me go outside. We actually built a safe zone bubble. So see, that's pretty cool. Although we're going to be moving our safe zone. So Empire. So is that it there? I mean, that looks more like a green. Actually, I think that is the. I think that's Cinnabons. So, not sure. But Cinnabons is 6,000 kilometers away, so it won't be going there anytime soon. Because in this game, the scale of this game is a little off, but 6,000 kilometers is more like 600 million kilometers in real world. Alexander ordered poutine. Never had real poutine, but I've heard it's delicious. And Wesley, I already read that. Wolverine says, oh, hey, how's it going, bud? Hang it in there, Wolverine. Hang it in there. I like the political intrigue of the Phantom Menace. I thought that was actually interesting. Where the Phantom Menace really, really fell apart was, I think Anakin was too young. I think they should have started with Hayden Christensen rather than start him as a little kid. Because, I mean, you have this 9-year-old kid, and they give the same excuse that they gave to Luke for not training. Oh, he's too old. And I think it was Red Letter Media, actually, in the Plinkett review of it, asking the question, well, what the hell isn't too old if a 9-year-old is too old to start training? What do you have to be, a fetus when you're recruited? That doesn't make any freaking sense at all. So, yeah, that's... that was really a problem with the film. I think that if Hayden Christensen were Anakin in that film, and we got a movie where Hayden Christensen could play nothing but a good Anakin, that could make the fall in Revenge of the Sith feel a little better. The problem is that Hayden Christensen felt like a whiny little bitch in Attack of the Clones, and so when he fell from grace, it just felt like no, he was heading there the whole time. So yeah. Yoda appears as a bumbling fool in his first scenes. Yeah, you're right. But Yoda was pulling a fast one, obviously, right? And I did like that. Mr. Miles says, sorry, but the Darth Jar Jar makes too much sense to me. I think it was the original plan. It mirrors Yoda way too much on his first appearance. I don't know. I still think I don't think that George Lucas intended for Darth Jar Jar. And Kronos, because of that comment, wants me to fire Miles. I would fire Miles if it wasn't for a couple of facts. Number one, Miles works for peanuts. I mean, literally, I send him a bag of peanuts every month, and he edits videos and does a great job for that ridiculously low pay. So I couldn't fire him based on that alone. However, he's also... but he's really been willing to help out, and Miles has been a great asset to the channel. I know you're just kidding around, but yeah, but Miles, thank you for everything you've done. And let's see. Nightbreeze says most younglings were found shortly after birth as a toddler, from my understanding, or as a toddler. Maybe so, but you know what? We did not see in the like when we saw the younglings that Anakin slaughtered in the third film. They were about the same age as Anakin from the first film, so we didn't see any Jedi babies. We didn't see any Jedi masters with a bottle feeding the Jedi. No, I'm sorry. That just, that's the problem. I found that whole thing about Anakin being too young at 9 stupid. And favorite Decepticon, Soundwave. The Renegade says, "Hey Trigger, agreed that Anakin was too young. I think he should have been a Naboo cadet who helps the escape. He could help fix the ship instead of R2, thus starting the life with the Queen." Yeah, or even if you're going to do the Tatooine thing, which I understand, there's a certain logic to having him on Tatooine, but the building C-3PO, that was dumb, and especially, it's like, what the hell? The slaves on Tatooine freaking live it up. I mean, how do you get enough parts to build a fully functioning robot that can do all your household chores when you're a freaking slave? Anyway. Actually, I don't want you to fire Miles. He does like SG-1. That is true. Miles says we all have to eat. Well, obviously, you like eating a lot of peanuts, so I appreciate that. And let's see, we need to turn that over. I'm trying to make this grand entryway look grand, but we'll see if it actually works. And let's see. Baby Jedis with bottle sabers. Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the SF Debris retrospective on Star Wars? It was so detailed, it was amazing. I have not. I love SF Debris. At least, I'll say this about SF Debris. I did love SF Debris. However, there are some things he's done that I really did not like in recent years, and I've kind of given up on him. Every once in a while, I'll go to his website and see what he's doing, but quite frankly, I don't give a crap about him right now. Although he was a big inspiration for this channel as far as his older stuff. But, and of course, if you've seen my reviews, I go to a stupid level of nitpick detail on my stuff, and part of that is inspired by SF. Let's see. Soundwave is amazing. So glad to have him again. Well, I like, yeah, Soundwave was cool. Bottle feeding, that's droid work. Well, yeah, so are there, I wonder if there are droids that, like, have droid boobs that, to make it more natural for the Jedi. We need a Trump intro next to say he's the best, most classy video. We need a Trump intro that says he's the best, most classy video on YouTube. That would be hilarious if we could find something like that. Bottle droids, yes. Anakin from Naboo, and then on Tatooine, Lars helps Anakin get the parts to repair the ship, thus becoming brothers. That's not a bad way to think about it, Renegade. The only problem is, of course, that we already have the prequel movies, and George decided to do them the way he did. And for better or worse, that's the canon of Star Wars. But I think the funny thing is that the fan, and this is a big problem in Hollywood, not just Star Wars or any particular franchise, but Hollywood in general. And people that genuinely don't understand this fact. And that is that the people that make the movies and stuff in Hollywood do not give a crap about the movies they make. That is a major problem. This is the best was read twice as he is the best. I'm sorry, Mr. Ron. You know what? I am dyslexic. I unfortunately, it's hard for me to distinguish between a lot of words sometimes. Now I lost my train of thought because I'm trying to do 3 things at once, so I have no idea. They just got into season 3 of Enterprise. Season 3 of Enterprise is where the show really, really starts to improve. And I will tell you, Theron, if this is your first time through watching Enterprise, season 4, aside from the first couple of episodes of season 4, which are hilariously bad, but the rest of season 4 is freaking awesome. If Enterprise had started season 1 the way that season 4 went, I dare say that Enterprise would be on a lot of people's favorite list of Trek. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And let's see here. And it's Mr. Miles says it's still funny. If you're talking about the Darth Jar Jar thing, well, yeah, it's the idea of Darth Jar Jar is freaking hilarious. But you know, I just don't buy that was the intent. As much as that would be fun. It's underrated, that's for sure. Yeah, Enterprise is one of those shows that, honestly, here's the thing about Enterprise, and I know I'm going to piss off a couple of people, but so be it. One thing you'll learn about me if you follow this channel for any length of time is that just because it'll piss off my subscribers and sometimes cost me a few subscribers, doesn't mean I'm not going to say it because I'm going to be me. Enterprise was not a bad Star Trek series. Enterprise wasn't good enough to save Star Trek after Voyager. That's the problem. Voyager, at the point, up until Discovery, Voyager was my least favorite iteration of Trek. And a primary reason for that is the inconsistent writing and the horrifically bad use of technobabble on that show. And so Enterprise was good, but the problem is it wasn't great, and a lot of people were done with Trek after Voyager, and which is too bad. And plus, I mean, all you got to do is look at what Voyager did with the frickin' Borg to understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, the Voyager is really, in my opinion, what killed Trek from its second renaissance. I mean, Trek has had 3 ages now, in my opinion. You have the original series, which stands on its own, the next gen era, which is everything from next gen through Enterprise, and now, of course, the dark ages of Trek is what I'll call the first 2 seasons of Discovery. And we'll see, but there is a possibility of a third renaissance. I genuinely believe that a Pike show could be awesome. I genuinely believe that a Picard show could be awesome. But I also think that they need to completely retool over at CBS Viacom and get rid of Kurtzman. But yeah. Let's see. Mr. Miles says that I have to agree about season 4 of Enterprise. The entire show had been like that. It would have been my favorite of the Treks. It's already my favorite season out of all Trek. Yeah, season 4 of Enterprise is freaking incredible. In a Mirror Darkly will probably, because what we're doing right now, Mr. Miles and I are doing, is we did the top 5 of Enterprise or of TOS. We're going to do the bottom 5 of TOS. And we're going to do the top 5, bottom 5 of every other series. I guarantee you that In a Mirror Darkly will be on the top 5 of Enterprise and may be in my top 5 of all Trek. I love In a Mirror Darkly. It's just a great deconstruction of itself, of Enterprise. And Mr. Miles says, BS, Voyager is what brought me into Trek. That's that's why I say I know it'll piss some people off. Look, Voyager has its fans, and that's totally cool. I don't hate Voyager. It's my least favorite of Trek, but I don't hate it. I just think that it was sorely lacking. And the problem, though, is that after what happened with Voyager, I think it turned off a lot of people. And I think that Enterprise, because season 4 was when it really got good. Season 3, I would say this: if season 1 of Enterprise was season 3, then Enterprise and season 2 of Enterprise was season 4. Enterprise would have been probably a ratings phenomenon. So, how could people how could people be bored of 7 of 9 and Amazing Neelix? Well, that's very easily. Hello, world.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
And Ensign Ricky is in the house. I was talking about you a few minutes ago, Ensign Ricky. Good to see you, my friend. I hope that you are doing well, and throws $5 in the chat. Says, hello, everyone. Enterprise Season 2 was all Manny Koto. That they should let him continue. Yeah, Manny Koto was great for Enterprise, but and Theron, I know you said you hadn't seen In a Mirror Darkly. No, you won't for a little while, because In a Mirror Darkly, if I remember correctly, is the second to last episode of the series. And well, wait, Voyager is my least favorite Czech, so you think it's worse than STD? No, I said, Mr. Miles, you may not have heard me correctly. I said, first of all, I said series. Star Trek V was not a series. It was a standalone film. And I also said until Discovery. Of the second generation of Trek, Voyager is my least favorite. Of all of Trek, STD is my least favorite. R.I.P. Bird. So, Ensign Ricky, since you put that $5 in, with your permission, I know that some people, and Mercer, I'm so sorry, I saw you posted that a second ago, and I didn't read it. I meant to, but trying to do the game and the chat at the same time. No problem. That was a good rant that you had in there. So, you don't have to thank me, because you're the one that wrote it. Mr. Mouse says, Mirror Darkly is the second last. Oh, I know it's towards the end of Season 4 then, but I don't remember. Antrigger, they announced 3 new shows, the Marvel DSD streaming, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Moon Knight. I didn't hear about Miss Marvel, but Uncle Ramus mentioned Moon Knight and She-Hulk earlier in the chat, which I'm very, very excited about. She-Hulk in particular, but both She-Hulk and Moon Knight, I have a lot of potential. Is In a Mirror Darkly only halfway through? I don't know why I thought it was towards the end, but I don't know. I could always look it up, but not worth the trouble. But when you get to it, you will know, Thrawn, it is freaking awesome. And like I said, it is probably, without doing a real analysis, it's my favorite episode of Enterprise. But now if I sit there and try to actually break it down, I might come up with something else that I think is better done. But yeah. Anyway, Ensign Ricky, so since you put a $5 chat in there, there is a newer UBERCHAT that I don't think you've seen that does chronicle the war between Turkestan and Kuroga. So if you want to see that, I would be more than happy to put that on. That's UBERCHAT number 12. Or if there's something else you want, by all means, you donate the money, so it's your choice. So let me know, Ensign Ricky, in the chat. In the Mirror Dark is followed by the 2-parter about Terra Prime, then the finale, yes. And the finale, by the way, worst episode of Enterprise. That will definitely be number 1 on my 5 worst for Enterprise. Better Series V miniseries, Battlestar Galactica, or Buck Rogers. Ooh, tough. I love all 3. All right, Night Breeze. I truly do. I absolutely loved V when it first aired. Absolutely loved the original. I assume you're talking about the 1978 Battlestar Galactica, and I really enjoyed Buck Rogers. However, I'm going to rank it as Battlestar Galactica is number 1, V is number 2, Buck Rogers number 3. But that's not saying Buck Rogers sucked. I loved all 3. I'm good. Give it to someone else. All right. In that case, I'm going to play that new one because I can't remember who, but someone was asking about the war earlier on, and this will answer that question. So here you go, guys. The official status of the war between Kuroga and Turkestan. If it'll play. There we go. Maybe. Try it again.
This is Anti-Trigger aboard the Goliath. Please confirm that we sent communication ships to anybody in the area so that they would know not to be in their ships right now. Thank you, base. We're going to commence with weapons test.
I left the chips on your ship? What chips? What's a chip? You left chips on the ship. I don't even know what the hell a chip is.
Roger base. This
You
is
mean
an
like
anti-tracker
computers?
in the Goliath, ready for weapons test.
I don't see anything on the ship. Am I missing something? Oh, right there. I am missing something. What the hell is that?
Roger base. Preparing to fire weapons at lowest settings. In 3, 2.
Shoot the son of a bitch, says Chief Cook. Kronos is lowing. Wesley says you missed. It was a warning.
And weapons test appears to be successful. Base, we success. Wait. Was BIRDOPREY on that ship? Wait, I think I see a life pod out there. BIRDOPREY, can you hear me? BIRDOPREY, are you okay? No! God damn it! Are you crying, Bird? Why do you hate me? I'm not crying. I've got soot in my eyes.
And there you go, the official record of the war between Kurdistan and Karoga. That was, yeah, that was a lot of fun to put together. Mr. Miles says, the last episode of Enterprise isn't canon. It's only canon that those events happen on the holodeck. I will fight to the end on this. I will die on this hill. I understand, but be careful, Mr. Miles. Remember, we do have people in the chat that haven't seen it yet, so let's not do spoilers. And let's see here. RIP again, Bird, yes. New Muppet Show on Disney+. Interesting. I did love the Muppet Show, I will say that. So, a new Muppet Show could be good, but if they do a bunch of politically correct stuff where all the male Muppets are now incompetent and all the female Muppets are now, always brings a smile to my face. Season 3 of Enterprise was so good it was difficult to make a decent Season 4, but I think most of the episodes of Season 4 are pretty good. I think that Season 4 was actually their best. Kathleen Kennedy on stage, prepare barf bags. Ooh, you know what? I would love to see her get booed off the stage. That would be hilarious. But I'm sure since it's, mostly people there that are fanboys, that won't be the case. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory. It's just a fact. A lot of fanboys there. Spoilers don't apply to crap content. Yes, they do. Andy Jagger, I'm so excited for the She-Hulk TV series. I am as well, actually. So that's probably from what they've said so far, that's the one that's got me the most excited. I can't wait to tell Mrs. Anti-Tracker about it because she knows the whole She-Hulk thing, and I think she will also really appreciate that. So very cool, to say the least. So yeah, that's good news all around. Almost done with Farscape, was pretty decent. Wow, thank you for the $2, Ensign Ricky. I do appreciate it. And that's I have, you know what? I'll be honest with you, and I know Mr. Miles hates me for this, but it's hard for me to get into that show because of the Muppets. It really is.
Hello, world.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
All right, and thank you, Enrique. So, of course, you can give me a super chat if you want it, my friend. Daniel says, A-Tracker, Spider-Man could still be in the MCU, and I hope they pull in Venom to the MCU. Venom was a great movie. I enjoyed Venom. I wouldn't call it great, but I think Venom was a good movie. I just have my doubts about them actually pulling anything like that off, to be completely frank about it. And let's see. Stratagem for Season 3 of Enterprise is an outstanding episode when they trick the Xindi into revealing the location of their base. That was a good one. There's Season 3, the whole Xindi arc was a stroke of genius. That's really what the show needed to get on track. And so I'm really glad that they actually did that. And let's see. Disney is currently filming Rogue One prequel series with Andor. Ugh. That I am not looking forward to because I got to tell you, while I would agree with the general consensus that that Rogue One was probably the best film of the newer Star Wars franchise, I also have to say that I really, really did not like what they did to the rebellion. I found it insulting and, quite frankly, just wrong to have the rebels now basically be willing to slaughter their own to avoid getting caught. And, you know, I just found that disgusting. And so I want nothing to do with it. Andrew, did you see Kiko and Skype? He says, hello. I did not. I'm not sure who Kiko is, to be honest with you. So if that person reached out to me on Skype, I haven't been on Skype today. So hi, Kiko. And I forgot, did you like or dislike what Enterprise did with the Klingon head thing? I think you're fine with it now, but initial impression, what did you think? I've grown to accept it as far as being the official canon explanation as to the foreheads. I would say that I thought, you know, I don't know if I would say I'm not a big fan of doing retcons overall. Oops, just lost a little bit of stuff because my inventory's full. But I did, but I think that they did it as well as it could be done, really. And one thing I did like, though, is that was one of the times where, you know, they were basically doing with Enterprise what they should have done, which is fill in the gaps, right? Explain where certain things came from and stuff. And the Klingon forehead thing was going to have to come up because, you know, we actually already had in canon that we know that the Klingons' foreheads did change in universe. It wasn't just a visual reboot or anything like that. And so they were, you know, they had to do something. But yeah. Oh, Keiko's your little Shih Tzu. No, I didn't see that, Daniel. So I'm sorry. I haven't been on Skype much today, so I did not see that, but I will check it out. Anyway, but yeah, as far as a Rogue One series, quite frankly, I know what they're going to do. They're going to say, ooh, it's dark and gritty Star Wars. This is the Star Wars the fans really wanted because everybody wants everything to be dark and gritty. And I just disagree with that philosophy. I think that Star Wars, you know, Star Wars has a natural grittiness to it. And in a sense, you could even argue that it's relatively dark because Star Wars is consistently showing a hopelessly outclassed rebellion taking on a extraordinarily powerful empire. And that alone makes it kind of dark and gritty. The grittiness is kind of the overall environment. But then they want to say, oh, but now we're going to have the rebels killing each other. You know, because, ooh, we'll do anything to win the war kind of thing. Oh, we'll show how far we're willing to go. But that takes away the whole heroic aspect of them. That's what I genuinely don't understand what is going on with writing in Hollywood in recent years, where it used to be, and the whole idea of being a hero means that you're not going to kill people to get away with something. You're not, you know, how is the hero going to literally stab another good guy, killing him so that you could get away with whatever it is? And you might, and sure, you can argue the pragmatic point, which is that, oh yeah, it's, it serves the greater good. It was ultimately necessary, that kind of thing. And I can understand that argument. And there's a certain amount of logic to it. That doesn't make it good entertainment. That just means that you can come up with an in-universe explanation for it. Dark and gritty kitty litter on sale now from Disney. Yes. But, you know, and gritty kitty does stay crunchy even in milk. And for those of you that don't get that reference, that is a real reference. But yes, gritty kitty litter, because all kitties love gritty kitty. And the Dark Knight and political divisiveness destroyed storytelling. Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, the Dark Knight. I am not going. You know, obviously, I'm not a detractor of the film. I think that the Dark Knight was an outstanding film, but I think that it is ridiculously, and I mean laughably, overrated. I know that that's sacrilege to say that in front of certain people, but you know, because people to this day insist that the Dark Knight is the greatest comic book movie in history, right? But honestly, no, it really isn't. And in fact, I think that the Dark Knight is, in a very large part, responsible for the decay of storytelling in Hollywood. And yeah. Can you show a far out shot of your ship? I can, Kronos. As silly as it is for me to do so. So this is the ship in its entirety. And ignore the fact that the armor is kind of a mishmash because I've been experimenting with different color schemes and stuff. Because there are some new color schemes that were in the latest patch of the game. So this is the Kurdistani flag. And then of course we have some hydrogen engines in case of emergency. If we get too close to a gravity well, we turn on the hydrogen engines, and then we have lots and lots of ion engines. Now, this part of the ship is only partially been remodeled. You can see I got a bunch of ion engines in this section of the ship. Both sides were the same, but I've since then relocated. So I'm building out this part right now. This is this big interior space we have multiple plans for as far as what we're going to be putting in it, but we needed a bunch of extra space. I see Chris is in the game now. And let's see. Enterprise has the best intro of any star. I don't know. You know what? I like the intro, but I don't like the music. I'll be honest with you about that. That's I do like the intro as far as the visuals, but the music in that intro, not a fan. Got to be honest. But as far as now, Resolute says the Dark Knight trilogy is Batman at his worst. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that, I actually think Batman Begins was good. I think, in fact, I would dare say it's, you know, even though I think Christian Bale was definitely not my favorite Batman, I liked Batman Begins. The Dark Knight was good, but everybody thinks it's the greatest movie of all time. No, it was just good. That's all it was. It was not great. And, I mean, it takes a lot for me to say a movie was great. And The Dark Knight was not it. Then you have The Dark Knight Rises, which, again, I would say was good, but not great. Let's see. Mr. Miles says, the intro for Enterprise, what did the most damage to the show? I don't know if I would say that. I still think that the biggest problem that the show had was the simple fact that they couldn't do enough to salvage Trek after Voyager. And I know you liked Voyager more than I did, but that's just my humble opinion. But you've got to have faith of the heart. But seriously, Mirror Darkly intro for the way. Yeah, the Mirror Darkly intro was freaking awesome. That was my personal favorite Star Trek intro, I think. And let's see. And Thurman is saying, I think the intro for Enterprise was great. Name a worse Batman then. A worse Batman than Christian Bale's Batman? Adam West? Or how about the old serialized Batman? If you haven't seen the old serialized Batman, whew, they were bad. And Nightbreeze.
Great hit. Don't get cocky.
IG-11 is in the show, not IG-88. Okay. And Nightbreeze shows in a box his best non-Star Trek sci-fi series of all time. That's a tough one. Now, if you say series, I tend to think television as opposed to film. If I was going to say series included film franchises, I would say Star Wars. Even though Star Wars is really more science fantasy, I love watching it, and I love it. Oh, yeah, George Clooney. Thank you. That was horrible. So, trailer showing now. All right, Uncle Remus, let me know if it's any good. But, yeah, George Clooney was a horrible Batman. But I actually like Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer both more than Christian Bale as Batman. But George Clooney and Adam West, and I can't remember the actor's name that did the old serials, were all far worse than Christian Bale as Batman. Batman and Robin was a horrible movie, Admiral. Anyway, so I would say Star Wars, if you include a film franchise, if we're talking strictly television series, I would say would have to be Battlestar Galactica 2004. That was such an epic series. I love it from beginning to end. Mr. Lundell says Outer Limits from the 60s. That's not bad. But I don't really think of Twilight Zone and Outer Limits as sci-fi as much as horror. Michael Keaton was a really good Batman. It's really, really, in my opinion, unfortunate that I think that we ended up with such a horrible twist of fate that I think Ben Affleck was freaking epic as Batman, but he was in a bad Batman film. And that's really a shame. How long has Auntie been playing Space Engineers? Bondage, if you're talking about the dog hasn't played Space Engineers at all. If you're talking about me, weeks. I mean, basically, I got the game just before we set up this server. And so, yeah. I don't know when exactly we did it, but yeah. I've never seen Battlestar. You should. It's a serious take on BSG. It is definitely, there's no comedy in that series at all. It is very serious, very dark. But that's dark sci-fi done well. Dark science fiction definitely has its place. But, and I'll tell you that they really took it to a level like very few can. And I see Auntie is tired, even though she's awake. Mr. Miles says, Affleck was the worst Batman, and Affleck is just Brie Larson with a penis. Wow, that's just mean. Because, first of all, there's no need to be insulting about it. If you didn't like Affleck as Batman, that's perfectly understandable. But, come on, you don't have to be like that kind of level of insulting. However, I respectfully disagree with you. I don't think Affleck was a bad bat. The problem was that he was in a bad movie. That's really the thing. I usually think of Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, those styles as their own genre. Yeah, I think of them as horror. Affleck was the best part of the movie. Yeah, Batman v Superman, Affleck was... It's kind of funny. I heard somebody, I can't remember who said it. Mandalorian trailer's up on YouTube. Yeah, I figure it would be. And no, I'm not skipping your comments on purpose. I'm sorry. Your ship looks like the mothership from The Last Starfighter. Oh, you're not that far. I think you're right. And I'm sorry, Kronos. That was not intentional. I didn't mean to miss your comment. Anyway, Uncle Remus, I will definitely check out the Mandalorian trailer, but I'm not sold on the concept. Ewan McGregor is on stage. Are they going to talk about Obi-Wan and whatever the hell they're going to do with Obi-Wan, because they can't seem to figure out what they want to do with Obi-Wan for reasons. I mean, it's just kind of
Hello,
stupid.
worm.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky.
And Alexander puts in 2 more fake Canadian dollars, says RoboCop 1 is the best movie in humankind history. Well, I will agree that RoboCop 1 is, in fact, the best of the RoboCop movies. But I wouldn't say the best. I enjoyed RoboCop a lot, but no thank you. Batfleck and Wonder Woman were the only things that didn't suck in Batman vs. Superman. Agreed. And that's the problem. Yeah, you had... Ben Affleck was inspired casting. I really do believe that. I think that Ben Affleck was the closest we got to a genuine Batman on screen. He was smart and he was tough. And the problem is that in all the prior iterations, they can really pull off one, but generally suck at the other. Like Michael Keaton's Batman felt very smart, did not feel particularly tough, even though he was. But, you know, and similar problems with the other Batmans, the ones that didn't suck. We've had the server up for 2.5 months. That long? Wow. Well, and I guess I've had the game for 2.5 months. Kenobi is confirmed. Okay, well, that's cool. I even though it's a completely pointless and unnecessary film, but I'll look forward to it. If assuming Marvel or Disney turns things around. Let's see, Kenobi in 2022. All right, well, that's 3 years away. Obi-Wan was a 2-hour movie watching an old man shuffle around in the desert. I hope that's not it, but I don't know what they're going to do. And here's the problem with an Obi-Wan movie. There's not a lot of story to tell without screwing the lore. And I if I were a betting man, I would probably say they're just going to screw the lore. And when I say that, I mean the fact that Obi-Wan... you know, based on what we had in established lore, right? Obi-Wan leaves Luke with the Lars and then lives nearby to kind of keep an eye on it. And the Lars know about him being there and they think he's a crazy old wizard. And then, you know, 20 years later, he takes Luke on a grand adventure. So now they're going to probably tell a story of how he fought Darth Vader sometime in between that time. Even though there's dialogue in the original Star Wars, Vader talking about how he was just a student the last time they fought. But if he fights Darth Vader now that he's fully Darth Vader, then that line becomes a lie. And so I don't like it. And I can't believe for a moment that they are not going to put Darth Vader in the film. I'm sorry. You know, if you're going to do an Obi-Wan film, a lot of fans will want to see Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight again. I would love to see Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight again because even though I think that it wasn't as good as the Darth Maul fight, I did really like the Obi-Wan Anakin fight in Revenge of the Sith. But if they do fight again, then it doesn't make a lot of sense, the lore, and I just don't like that. I really don't. And so Admiral says, Manda looks like Star Wars. Thank you, Jon Favreau. Well, here's the thing I'll say about that. Hey, Auntie, you getting anxious? I'm sorry, Auntie, I can't take you for a walk right now because we're doing the show, okay? I know. Life is hard. Being a dog that has nothing to do but sleep for hours on end. I wish you could see her, but yeah, she's sitting there right by my chair, just staring at me with those sad eyes. And it's like, oh, please, just give me all the attention. Don't talk about it. Anyway, but what does it say, Admiral, about Mandalorian looking like Star Wars? Well, let's be real for a moment. Last Jedi looks like Star Wars. All right? Yeah, the story is crap. What they did to the characters is insulting, but it looks like Star Wars. As does The Force Awakens, as does, the Gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Rogue One. In fact, the only Star Wars movie that doesn't look distinctly Star Wars is probably Solo. Dogs can't sleep as much as cats. Auntie sleeps a lot, I will tell you. We have a cat that sleeps about 20 hours a day. Auntie is not that far off from that. I don't know about Vader. My money would be on Maul. If they do Maul, I would be better with it. I think that if they follow up from Solo and they have Darth Maul be the main baddie, I think that would be better than Vader. So we'll see though. But I will definitely check out the Mandalorian trailer. I can't do it while I'm streaming because even though it's just a commercial for their show and it would only serve their purposes by driving more interest in the show, they will copyright strike me in a heartbeat if I actually dare to show it. So, which is stupid. After all, they did bring Maul back as a cyborg in Solo. That's true. Vile Mike is in the house, says, howdy, just got off work. Welcome, Vile Mike. I'm just working on the Goliath a little bit. Thought that we would do a little bit longer than normal stream. Don't you dare take BIRDOPREY's hat. Yeah, you can't have that. You know what you need? I know what you need. You need some food, don't you? Yeah. It's about your dinner time because I usually give you dinner right before I live stream, and this is about the time that I usually live stream. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, just enough time to get Auntie her dinner because I think that's why she's being so antsy, is that she hasn't had her dinner yet. So I'm going to fly back to base real quick, get in my cryopod, and then I'm not going to log out of the game, just going to get there. And by the way, I'll show you some of the stuff that Thomas did in the game too. It's really cool. And we'll put the fish tank on while I get her food together. I'm sorry I don't have something 5 minutes long for you guys to watch. If I did, I would be more than happy to do that. But so enjoy the fish tank for a couple of minutes, and I will be back just as quickly as I can. And no, I can't. The problem is, Wesley, I know play super chats would be cool, but I can't because I have to walk away from my desk to get her food, and so it's not. I don't have a super chat that's long enough to do that. So I apologize for that, but I will be back shortly. How about now? Now that we're not muted. Okay, sorry about that. So, Auntie is not in her bed right now because she's downstairs eating. She only eats in her kennel. That's something that her trainer suggested. And so when she's done eating, Joshua is going to take her for a little walk and then bring her back up. So, sorry for leaving you guys at a lurch there. And Mr. Miles, if only Antrigger was a computer nerd and set up macro, you're one after the other. Well, you know what? There's probably a way to do that in XSplit, but I'm sure that people would rather that I try to focus on making videos rather than doing that. Of course, I suck at that right now. So, all right. So back to and actually, so I don't know if Thomas is here. I know he was at the game earlier. But I'll show you guys a couple of things real quick in the base. First of all, this is our battery room. You can see we have a fairly decent amount of batteries. So that way, if somebody actually took out our power, we would still be able to go for quite a while. And not sure what we have over here right now. Oh, obviously no gravity. All right, so let's go in here. And, oh, this is, okay, it's a programmable block. I don't know what they're doing with that because I have not messed with programmable blocks at all yet. So, looks like this is future expand. Oh, look at this. We got a little botanical garden going. This is, might be my personal stash. Looks like we have working on expansion there. And let's see. And what's BIRDOPREY saying? Oh, well, I'm not worried about BIRDOPREY seeing our base because look at all these are all gun lockers here, so that you know if BIRDOPREY ever shows up, we can all grab a gun and take him out. Kuroga sucks. The war room is classified, so I can't show that during a stream because BIRDOPREY could see it. Alexander wants a movie about the Victorian baboon woman. You know what? In all seriousness, Alexander, they could tell her story in a movie, and it could be very, very inspiring. Think about what was that? The Elephant Man movie. You know, I think the Victorian baboon woman could, in fact, be a really, really good movie. So here's the Turkestan flag inside the base. Now, this sign was not created by me. I want you to know that I don't see myself this way, but one of my most loyal subjects, Thomas Potts, the commander of the Turkestani military, built this. And I'm not ignoring you, Mr. Miles. You know, I'm playing a game while doing a stream. It's very difficult to multitask like that. So, yeah. That ship did have a feel to that did have a feel to the expansion. Let's see. I'm not sure what you mean. That did have a feel to the expansion. I'm not sure what you mean there. Wesley says, I challenge you to a ship duel, the Lagmore versus the Goliath. I can even, what'd you say? I can even copy it before the fight so you don't lose it. That could be fun. Give me a few minutes. I assume you're talking about you want to do that like right now. But yes. Mr. Miles is saying, I'm feeling ignored, double unsubbing, triple unsubbing for giving excuses, triple even. Oops, I can't spells. Well, okay. Anyway, so yes. Thomas with the Office of the Great and Magnificent, the greatest YouTuber, President of Turkestan, Anti-Tracker. Very kind of you, Thomas. But this is my personal office. Very nicely done. The decor is not quite done yet, so the walls are still a little plain, but we're working on that. But a lovely view of the planet that we came from. My office is right here. I can sit down. Very nice. When I'm talking to someone, we can sit over here or over here if we're just having a little social gathering kind of thing. Very nice. Wesley says, not now at work, maybe tomorrow. Maybe if if I'm available, sure. If you do the battle, let me know. The GPS needs to test fly let me know the GPS need to test fly the USS Vials. That's fine. Oh, seeing the veggies while you were walking by that reminded me of The Expanse. Gotcha. I really, you know, I'll tell you, this game really does feel like it's The Expanse, the game. It really feels like that to me. Now you see, there's a little section here off of theirs. Here's the toilet because, you know, no good office doesn't have a toilet. And then when we come down here, now Thomas added another room down here. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing with this, whether this will be like his office or something else. So I'm not sure what we're doing. And you need to replicate the office from Mass Effect 2. I'll get you a screenshot. Actually, Mr. Miles, send it to Thomas Potts. He's the one that's doing all the internal stuff like this. Wesley says, are you guys still playing Office Space in Space? You know, Wesley, just because we enjoy making almost like it's you could almost call it like role play as far as the building design. We're trying to make it feel like a real place, not just what is necessary to battle in the game. So, whoops, I hate that when you get, what now? What the heck is going on? Game is being weird. All right, that was bizarre. Anyway, stupid game. All right, we do need, just so you know, if Thomas and or Wes here, you know what, we really do need grav generators in the base because I think that would make things better. This is stuff from the new expansion. There's a store block now and contracts and an ATM. I haven't figured out how to use them yet, but there's a new economy in the game, which is actually really cool. Why does God need a toilet? Well, I'm not a god. This is the most important room in the base, though. If we go down this long corridor, it's not entirely finished, but Thomas, you did an incredible job so far in replicating what you did before. This is the throne room of the Queen of Turdistan, Mrs. Antitrekker. That wall of LCDs will have her great portrait, and her throne sits right here. So this is Mrs. Antitrekker's throne room. She is the real power of Turdistan. I simply do her bidding as the president of Turdistan. And Kronos is getting sick? I'm sorry. Oh, what, because I'm zipping around so much? Are you getting motion sickness? I'm sorry. Almost done with the tour of the base. We have a fine dining room right here. You can see another thing new with the expansion, wood paneling. Very cool. Excuse me. And this is our official dining table. We can expand it as we need to, as we have more Turdistanis join the fight. Man, hiccups are a pain. All right, so that's and then of course our cryopods and stuff right there. And that's the basic tour of the base. Speaking of the Expanse, the Rossi is mostly finished. Very cool. And there goes Chris. Hey, Chris. Hope you're doing well. And then we come outside. Now, outside, we have more to our base, obviously. This is our safe zone generator. That's another new thing to the game. Although this is not going to, this is a temporary location for it. It's actually going to be much further buried inside the asteroid. But when you, with the safe zone generator, you can basically make it so that anybody within this zone cannot use weapons or grinders or anything like that. So basically it makes your base 100% safe. And when you do that, you can then invite other players to come to your base and have, you know, trade and discussions and stuff like that. Let's see. I didn't call you a god. I just asked a question. Oh, well, I don't think God does need a toilet, but I don't know for sure. And this is one of our little just runabout type ships. We just use if we need to get somewhere. This is a hangar bay, which I'm not going to show you the interior contents of that as of yet. And then we have various docking ports around. I don't know. Yeah, there's, you can see the one of our ships there. And of course, this docking arm right here is specifically for our flagship, the Goliath. So yes. Is that a crap charter? Mr. Ross, is your safe zone free from trigger words? Well, I didn't invent the term safe zone. No, you can say whatever you want and insult people, I suppose. Night Breeze, sir, you can't let him in here. He'll see everything. He'll see the big board. Don't. I'm not worried. Because you know what? It's bird of prey. What happens when bird of prey flies a ship? Well, Kuroga loses a ship. You know. Your flag is a lie. You are not a republic, Mrs. Anti-Checker's base theocracy. It's not a theocracy. We are, in fact, a republic. We have a queen, but the actual the actual day-to-day runnings are from an elected president, and that is me. And we, and our representatives report to the queen, but she ultimately, it's voluntary. Anybody could challenge her as being the queen, any citizen, but nobody has in the history of Kurdistan because they all love her. What the hell? How long you been live? No notification. Been live for quite a while, actually. Going on about 2 hours now. So, Carlo, I'm truly sorry. But we're still going to stream for a little while, so don't worry. I'm not running away right now. Anyway, so yeah, the Goliath is, of course, our main flagship, but it's still got a lot of work to do. But Wesley, I will be willing to duel with you, but just keep and as long as you keep your word and you just copy the ship so that after the duel we can delete it and replace it with an exact duplicate, I'm perfectly fine with that. Let's see. I don't know the physics of lore getting flushed down a toilet. Now that's a tough one. Yeah. Oh, and that reminds me. I am so sorry, Night Breeze. I am truly sorry. I meant to do this when I came back, but I forgot.
All hail the Hypno-Turd. You must love the Hypno-Turd. The Hypno-Turd is love. The Hypno-Turd is life. The Hypno-Turd knows you. The Hypno-Turd loves you. Because the Hypno-Turd is you. And you are the Hypno-Turd. Therefore you must give everything to the Hypno-Turd.
Alright, so how would God flush lore without a toilet? Of course he needs one. Oh, okay, there you go. I guess that's an excuse. You don't have a queen. Get it right. Miss Anchecker is an empress. Well, okay. Well, I guess we should probably adjust that then. I can copy it, and then you use the copy, leave the OG at the base. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That makes more sense, actually. And Chrono says, yay, Hypno-Turd. Yeah, sorry about that. Night Breeze requested it a little while ago, and I neglected, and so that's entirely on me. All right, so what we're doing with this area is obviously still under construction, but once it's done, you'll see we'll have a rather substantial staging area here that we're going to use for a few specific operations inside the ship. So I'm very much looking forward to how that's going to look when it's all done. And we may actually be rebuilding the engine tower on the top and bottom of the ship as well with the hydrogen engines, because add a few more hydrogen engines to the mix, because the whole point of the hydrogen engines is to save the ship if it gets too close to a gravity well. And right now, while there's a decent amount of thrust, I don't know that there's enough to actually prevent it from being pulled into an atmosphere. Now you'll notice that there's twice as many engines in the rear as in the front, and that's because if we get close to an atmosphere, the idea is that the ship would point the rear of the ship towards the planet and engage full thrust. But yeah. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version. Just got a confirmation, sort of the character gender swap in the movie Dune. Well, that's lame. That is truly lame. And when you say sort of a confirmation, I don't know exactly what you mean, but I hope that it is not then a true confirmation. All right, so where do we go? This is the tricky part, is trying to get to where we want to get without destroying vital systems that are already part of the ship. because we'll probably have to move a couple of conveyors or something. Adchecker, I hear that your turd base on the moon shot at Cloud as he was flying around. This was this an American friendly fire? Have you declared war against the CADs? The CADs? Let me take a look at the factions menu. The only... no, we are not at war with the CAGs at all. The only, we have the Space Spider, Space Pirates.
Hello, world.
Kronos put in $1. Thank you, Kronos.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
And once number 20, give me just a second, and I will play it, Kronos. Thank you so much. Anyway, but yeah, the Space Pirates and the Space Spiders, you can't make peace with. You can see I tried, but it didn't quite work. Might as well just cancel that. The Holy Kuroga Republic, they're just evil. And then, of course, there's us, Empire of the Baron Corvair, and the CADs, which is Cloud and Carlo. So if a Turdistani base shot, I don't know exactly why that would be, unless because I've never been to the base on the moon. That was built by Captain NKG, and I know that you can set weapons to fire at neutral targets, which would include, of course, you guys, the CADs. So it could be that he did that. And so that's my guess. But number 20, Kronos, and don't get excited. It's $1. You know what? I do get excited about $1, and it's stupid, I know. But you know what? Every dollar counts. Every dollar matters. And you guys, $1 at a time. Some people have donated more, but you know what? You guys have kept this household going for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. And so, of course, I get excited every time you put in a super chat.
Anal na trach, was betad, doch hiel dienle.
Ariel Natris Oris Barzi Bedhead Juchel Dementa. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Classic Bird. Or as we say, that's so Bird. And Kronos says, I'm joking, slapping his forehead. Well, I'm sorry. You know what? It's true. There's no like sarcastic font in, and so yeah, it can be hard to tell sometimes when somebody's joking. So my apologies, Kronos. But you know, I appreciate everything you and everybody else does around here. So, oops, I thought I had the jetpacks off because, oh, that's right. I don't have a gravity generator in the back of the ship yet. I need to do that. And just trying to, my inventory's full, so I'm trying to weaken it out a bit by doing a little welding real quick over here, because I knew I had a few unfinished blocks. That's a good reading, Bert. Yeah, that is, you know, Excalibur is an awesome film, but yeah, that's the one way to improve it is to put Bird of Prey redubbing. In fact, I think we should do a classic Bird of Prey redubs and have him dub like classic scenes from all sorts of movies. That would be awesome. And of course, the best part of that is that if it was on my channel, then you guys would pay me to watch Bird of Prey, wouldn't that? Because I'm like freaking awesome. Reminder, everyone, change top chat to live chat. Yes, absolutely, and thank you, Miles. And Kronos says thank you, because Kronos is usually the one to say that, but Kronos, you're a little behind today. I got to say, I'm a little disappointed, but you know, that's all right. You don't lose your cred yet, because I'm far worse than you. And let's see. Kuroga hasn't declared war against itself again today, has it? It was so funny to see that. No, Carlo. And for those of you that don't know, yes, Kuroga went to war against Kuroga. Not even making that up. Kuroga actually went to war against Kuroga, and Kuroga lost in its war against Kuroga. Chrono says, I don't think I ever saw Excalibur. You know, Excalibur is one of my favorite movies, and I understand it's an R-rated, and it is definitely an R-rated take on the King Arthur tale. And part of the reason that it's R-rated is, quite frankly, because they they show you what Lancelot and Marion did to get themselves in trouble, but it's a really, really good movie. All right, so this is not going to be perfect, but it'll work. All right, and whoa, haha. Part almost floated away. All right, so let's see. We need to put catwalk parts. And let's see. Kronos, did you just mistake me for Kuroga? I'm sorry. Yeah. The U.S. went to war with the U.S. before. It's not unheard of. That's true. But it wasn't like a Kurogan civil war. It was more like a Kurogan stupidity moment. And Alexander says The Simpsons are very funny, an amazing cartoon. Well, on that, I know that the evil dictator of Kuroga, The Simpsons, is like one of his favorite shows of all time. And I gotta say, I do enjoy The Simpsons. They were great. I know that some people say that the era of The Simpsons is over. I have not seen them in years, but particularly, I mean, I watched The Simpsons back when it was part of the Tracy Ullman show. So yeah. Kuroga went to war against Kuroga. Isn't that called a civil war? Well, no, not in this case. Kuroga went to war with Kuroga by accident. Quite literally, by accident, they went to war with themselves. And which was quite hilarious to watch, I gotta say. That it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in Space Engineers. So, and let's see. Oh, Darren is in the house. What I miss? Fake engineers. Yes, I know Darren, of course, our favorite local flat earther, hates Space Engineers because it's in space. And so, sorry about that, Darren. But I know that you're just messing around as well. So, but welcome, my friend. Always good to see you. And so I'm guessing that a lot of you guys not get the notification for this for the stream today because had quite a few people say they haven't seen it, and our numbers are definitely down. Usually at this time of the night when we're streaming, have around 50, between 50 and 70 people. And today we only have 35. So I'm thinking that there's definitely some YouTube shenanigans going on, which is quite annoying to say the least. Is that a base or a capital ship you're working on? It is a capital ship. It is the Turkestani flagship, the Goliath. And yes, it is a big-ass ship. I will say that it's definitely a rather large ship. But yeah. Hi, friend. Yeah, I didn't get notification either. Hey, Cap, I was just talking about you. So yeah, now that we have that done, good. So now we can get from our new staging area inside of the bowels of the Goliath. This whole wall, by the way, is going to get knocked out. But from there, we can follow the stairs through the main engineering area. By the way, these are all hydrogen tanks. And then over here, we have lots and lots of batteries. We have our nuclear reactors. And then we have med bay up front. And then we have the control chair and the view out the front. So yes, you can walk the entire length of the ship now inside. And what was that in the game chat?
Hello, world.
Let's see.
I got him! Great hit! Don't
Vile
get
says,
cocky.
I jumped in by your base. Hey, Cinnabon, looking good. Oh, I didn't even see. I don't know if you're still there, Cinnabon, because I know there was a few minutes ago. And Vile Mike wants the Turdistani base GPS. No. Cinnabon is an admin, so he can find anything in the game. But yeah, our planet is round. The Matrix is a flat movie. That's interesting. He said bowels. Well, of course I did. I'm the anti-trekker. Chrono says, BIRDOPREY, you can make crashes look good. That is true. BIRDOPREY is excellent at that. All right, so are you still around here, Cinnabon? If so, let me see where you are. There, look at that. Let's take a look at Cinnabon here. He's just outside of, well, maybe I shouldn't cross it, but let's take a look. Oh, now that's kind of cool. I got to give you credit, Cinnabon. This is an original design, that's for sure. I like your design aesthetic for sure. But yeah, BIRDOPREY is the best crasher on YouTube. I could say that. So we got 4 hydrogen engines. Now this ship is a lot smaller than the Goliath, it looks like. Well, maybe not a lot smaller, but definitely more lightly armed. But I dare say that knowing Cinnabon as well as I do, he could probably take on the Goliath with this beast. Was there a name to this ship? Oh, it's a space station. Okay. Is there a name for your space station? And so let's see. But yeah, very cool. I'm not sure what the point of some of these windows are other than just for design aesthetics, but and I see you got quite a few jump drives in there. There's your reactor. And this is basically a lot of it reminds me of the Goliath just without the armor. So yeah, this is cool. I could see, yeah, obviously you're not entirely done with the construction, but this is pretty cool. Yeah, I gotta say, this is great work here, Cinnabon. Really great work. I wish the Goliath looked as polished as this does. Here's what else. Andrew, I almost bought this game yesterday, but then I thought about it the last second, realized it would be a mistake. I can't casually play online games with me, much less editing. I understand. I do, but yeah. And that reminds me, 1,000 views on the last video. It took me 4 days to edit. The world doesn't understand my art. Woe is me. I think they will grow to respect your art, Miles. Give us time. They will. Night Breeze. Hey, Trigger, it's just a small moon. That's no moon, yes. This thing is actually very impressive. I got to say, I love what you're doing, Cinnabon. But yeah, I would hazard a guess. Let's see. So we got 4 hydrogen engines there in the centerpiece. Compared to, let's go back to the Goliath. And so, I don't know. Yeah, the Goliath and that are probably pretty similar in size, to be honest. But the Goliath is meant for combat, and your ship is meant for trade, if I remember correctly. But very cool. In fact, what a great ominous shot that would be if the two were about to go to battle right there. Yeah, that, and let's see. So back to, back to the slave pits we go. And let's see. Captain MKG, you probably should not have put that into the chat, even the faction chat right now while I am streaming. Just saying. That was probably a mistake, and I can't undo that now. So just hopefully you don't get attacked by the Kurogan scum. Just saying. And Let's see. Carlos says, I do like the ship. Well, thank you. I'm actually very proud of this, considering that I am a complete noob in space engineers. I actually really do like the way that the Goliath is turning out so far. I've rebuilt sections of the ship multiple times, but yeah. Breaking news, leader of Kurdistan admits to slave pits. No, we don't have slavery in Kurdistan. What are you talking about? I didn't admit to slave pits. At least I don't think I did. When did I admit slave pits? That doesn't make any sense. And so, yeah, that makes zero sense to me, but okay. Let's do this. Well, we don't really need ammo right now. We'll put this away. You might be asking, why is Antric unloading his inventory? Well, first of all, hold on just a second. Joshua is back and has Auntie. Hey, girl. I hope you had a good time on your walk. Thank you, Joshua. All right. Let's see. Carlo already has the coordinates. Yeah, but now anybody watching the stream could have had the coordinates. So Kronos, how did I say that there is slavery in Kurdistan? I'm completely lost. Oh, back to the slave pits. Yeah, okay. First of all, that was a joke. You know that. And Kronos, you got mad at me for not understanding your joke earlier, and then you're gonna take that literally? Come on now, come on. And there's Auntie shaking her head, going, "Yeah, I had a good walk. I'm glad." Let's see. Josh says, yes, Kurdistan slaves are called Karoga workers that come to work on orders of their leader, BIRDOPREY. Well, no, you see, Karoga has slavery, obviously, and they love that, but yeah. For one jump drive, you have multiple jump drives. You can go further. Why did you build your trade station so far from Earth? It's not convenient. Well, Cinnabon's trade station is mobile. And honestly, if you're playing the game, you're going to need a jump drive, because it's a big solar system. And, we got a little tired of being attacked, but yeah. Kurdistani leaders denies the existence of slave pits. Well, yeah, I kind of do. There are not slave pits in Kurdistan. So M is in the house. Good to see you, M. And I don't know that if I've seen you before, but what up, nerd, says M. What up, my friend? We're just playing a little Space Engineers, working on the flagship of the Kurdistani fleet called the TRD Goliath. TRD, for those that don't know, stands for Kurdistan Defense, or Kurdistan Republic Defense. So that's, people to wonder what that is. That's what it is. I don't know how to take jokes, trigger. Beep boop does not compute. And Alexander puts in another $2. Says Waterworld is an amazing movie. Why hate it? Well, honestly, I've never seen Waterworld, so I could not comment on whether or not it's an amazing movie. I honestly have no freaking idea. I genuinely, I've never seen it. It just, seeing the trailers for it, it didn't get me excited or anything, and I just never bothered.
Hello, world.
And there, of course, is the super chat.
Don't get cocky.
It's funny. Every time that plays, I start thinking of the Family Guy when he says, "Great kid, great. Don't get penisy." I don't know why. I just thought that was funny. And Mr. Londell says, Alexander, please tell us you're joking. I don't think he's joking. Alexander is a absolutely crazy, crazy guy. But, yeah. Renegade says, have you seen Mad Max? You've seen Waterworld. Well, I have seen Mad Max. And it's funny because the Mad Max films are, in my humble opinion, a bit overrated. I don't dislike the Mad Max films, but I also don't see them as these incredible works of art. I just don't. I think that they're, for the most part, pretty good, but yeah. And although I did not care for Mad Max Fury Road, I think that the whole idea of sidelining Mad Max in a movie about Mad Max was quite frankly insulting. And I didn't care for that. And Crows, yeah, that was a good one for Family Guy. Yeah, I tell you, I have the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy, and I am not by any stretch a Family Guy fan, but I love the Family Guy Star Wars films. Those were just freaking awesome. Let's see. The Postman was worse. I hadn't seen that. Honestly, never been a big Kevin Costner fan. Not all of Kevin Costner's films are horrible, but I think Kevin Costner is probably of the was it the 90s or whatever, probably one of the most overrated actors of all time. I mean, I'm sorry, but the man was just not exciting. I never cared for him. Now, if you like him, that's fine, but that's not me. Philip disagrees, thought Mad Max Fury Road was awesome. You know what? I'll say this. Mad Max Fury Road was, as far as the action sequences, was the best of the Mad Max films. As far as raw action is concerned, yes, it was absolutely wonderful. And M likes the shirt. Thank you, my friend. Yes, this is a Autism Captain America shirt. But Fury Road, it wasn't the action sequences that bothered me about it. I like the action sequences in Fury Road. And by the way, it wasn't even the recasting of Mad Max. I think Hardy did a fine job as Mad Max in the 10 minutes of the movie that he was actually in. However, the movie starts out by showing Max with his iconic car and then immediately destroys the car and spends the next half of the movie with him tied up. I hated that about it. I'm sorry. If the movie is called Mad Max, the movie should center around Mad Max, not Furiosa or whatever the hell her name was. This was, and I'm sorry, it was well done, but this was just the predecessor to Ghostbusters 2016 and The Last Jedi and all the rest of the wokeness that we're all sick and tired of right now. Mad Max was a part of that. It was just probably the most well done part of it. And I'm sorry, I was insulted by the idea of sidelining Mad Max in his own damn movie. It's the Mad Max movie. It's not Furiosa. Sorry. Mr. Wolverine says, I'm back. Just finished watching After Dark. I hope they had a good show. One of these days, I want to try to get on those guys, with those guys. Not get on those guys, get on with those guys. That's what I meant to say. And Chrono says, oh, I'm dying. Why is that?
Hello, world.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
Yeah, don't get penisy. And shoot, what else did I need? Those displays, construction comps, and I thought there was something else in, I think bulletproof glass, was it? Oops, not ice. And definitely not medical comps. All right. And Alexander with another 2 fake Canadian dollars says, Barbed Wire was amazingly underrated. So great. Wow. Yeah, got to disagree with you on that, Alexander. And I love you, man, but you are, in fact, completely insane. But thank you, though, for the $2. And let's see. M says the male actor, if you're talking about Hardy from Mad Max, has been a lot better in many other movies. I'm not saying that was a tour de force performance for him. But yes. Let's see. Please check my next to last comment, says Kronos. That was, why do you have to say you're sorry when you know you aren't sorry for saying something? Well, here's the thing. I don't want to offend people. And when I know, and so I'm caught in that conundrum of, on the one hand, and you guys expect this from me, on the one hand, I'm going to be me. I am not going to change my opinions just because it's politically expedient to do so. And at the same time, I don't want to offend you. So, yeah, I'm sorry if I'm offending you, but I'm going to tell you the truth. At least the truth as I see it. Philip says, I disagree again. I think it's perfectly okay move the protagonist aside for the world. The protagonist is in to take the story. Well, we will. Whoops. Hold on. I'm dying because I wasn't paying attention. Get some energy goodness going. All right. Well, and that's what we'll just have to agree to disagree. I don't think that it is appropriate to have a movie with a title character and sideline that title character. I don't think that's appropriate. And let's see. And that's the thing. It's, like, so if you're gonna call, or if Mad Max Fury Road was simply called Fury Road, okay, but like it would be like, for example, Star Trek Picard is coming out at the beginning of next year. Now, how would you feel if you tune in to Star Trek Picard and in the first episode of the series, Picard is put into suspended animation, and he doesn't come out of suspended animation until the last episode of the season? You'd be saying, why the hell was this show called Picard? Right? Maybe it should have been called Picard on Ice, not just Picard. You get what I'm saying? And so they just did that with Mad Max, and I don't appreciate that. I think it's a bait and switch. I go in to see Mad Max, and I see Charlize Theron. And not that Charlize Theron is hard to look at, and not that she did a bad job, but I felt like I got a bait and switch. I was going in to see a Mad Max movie, and I got a Charlize Theron movie. Not what I wanted. Again, it wasn't the worst movie ever. I didn't hate Mad Max Fury Road. I'm certainly not, angry at the movie as far as it being bad. I just don't appreciate the misleading title, marketing. Everything about that movie was misleading. It was just a bait and switch to give you a decent, strong female protagonist movie. Because they knew that if they had marketed it for what it would have been a flop. Don't give them any ideas, Anti-Trigger. Yeah, I know. Alexander says, if there are Borg Asian women, it will be amazing anyway. Well, I know you think that. Josh Street, Anti-Trigger, you're foreshadowing the Picard show. Yeah, that would be hilarious if that actually happens. And Orville Nation is in the house, says, hey, Anti-Trigger. Hey, Orville, how are you doing? Mr. Miles says, Anti-Trigger, it's almost like when they made Zelda game and you only see Zelda in the beginning and the end. Zelda is fake news. Well, I never played any of the Zelda games, so I don't know. But, it's just annoying when, Hollywood has no faith in what they have, and so they do a bait and switch with the marketing. And it's not all that uncommon. Hollywood does it on a fairly regular basis. Zelda is about Link, not Zelda, but yeah, every game is called Zelda. Well, you see, that's the thing. I've never played Zelda, so I don't know. However, if Link is the main character in the entire franchise, then I would assume that by the time you got to the second or third game, that's kind of what you're expecting. You're expecting it to be about Link, not Zelda. But like I said, I have no opinion on Zelda whatsoever because I have never played a Zelda game. I've never owned a Nintendo game console outside of a handheld unit like a Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. But I've never owned like a Super Nintendo or an N64 or any of those. I know that a lot of people are like, oh my God, how could you never own those? And it's like, well, first of all, when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, video game consoles didn't exist. The Atari 2600 was ridiculously overpriced. The Atari 2600 when it launched cost more than what a PS4 costs at its launch. It was ridiculously expensive. But the And so I never had, and so the Nintendo consoles didn't even exist when I was little. And when I was older and paying my own bills, I couldn't afford one. So there you go. And so now everybody's unsubbing because I've never played Zelda. Okay. The Terminator is about Sarah Connor and not the Terminator. That's true. That is true. But, again, that would be like, for example, Sarah Connor is the protagonist of the story. The Terminator is the antagonist of the story. So imagine if you were going to see a Terminator film and the Terminator was neither the protagonist or the antagonist, just happened to be in the movie for a brief time. Then why would you call the film The Terminator, right? Now, while the Terminator was not the main character, that was Sarah Connor, but the Terminator's presence was constantly felt throughout the film. Mad Max had no presence in Fury Road.
Hello, world.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky.
And Alexander says, in Captain Marvel, Captain German government from the 1940s was an annoying villain. I have no idea what you're talking about there, Alexander, but yes. And so Mr. Miles logged out from his Mr. Miles chief engineer account and logged in as Miles to say he could unsub again. But Nightbreeze is staying sub because Nightbreeze is a loyal Turdistani. Mr. Londell's never played Zelda as well. Well, careful, you're gonna get the wrath of Mr. Miles now. Everyone fears Taserface, says Taserface. I did. You know what? It's funny because, well, I like Guardians 2, and Taserface, that whole joke about Taserface, I loved. I know some people thought it was stupid, but I thought the whole Taserface thing was absolutely hilarious. So, well played, Taserface. Well played. Epic Beard, unsub for the 347th time. I don't know who keeps resubbing here. I don't know, because usually YouTube unsubs people at random, not subs people at random. So that is kind of odd that you would constantly get resubbed. I don't know what's happening. Perhaps you should just give Google customer service a call, except that, oh yeah, you can't call them because Google doesn't care about you. So yeah, have fun with that. That's the Miles I remember. Yeah, it's funny because when I saw that icon for Miles, I was like, wow, that's a blast from the past right there. And Vile Mike in the game is saying Zelda is awesome. I'm sure Zelda is, but yes. Yeah. And Cinnamon's talking about the trade stuff. I unfortunately can't pay too close attention to that because it's hard enough to do what I'm doing. Max played second fiddle to Theron's character the whole movie, and then at the end put her in charge. Yeah, I know, and I found that insulting. It was not a Mad Max film. It was a Furiosa film, and that's what it should have been called. You know, if the film was called Furiosa Fury Road, nobody would have gone to see it, but at least the title would have been accurate. So, what? You hold slightly varying opinions to my own. How do you hope to survive on YouTube? I know, Renegade. You know, the funny thing is that's you know what you just hit on right there. And I'll tell you, Renegade, but it's absolutely true. These channels that I sometimes go on tirades about, channels like Looper and Watch Mojo and stuff like that, right? Now, they are, oh, and it looks like Chris finished repairing the pack rat. Very good. But these YouTube channels, like those channels that I mentioned, you know, Looper and all those guys, that's all they do is they just say what people want to hear. And so that's, you know, that's the problem and I don't like that. And by the way, Alexander, if you're wondering, the reason that one that you comment that you put got deleted, it's because you can't. Please stop using the word that happens to be the German government of the 1940s. Please don't use that word repeatedly in the chat. YouTube does monitor that, and channels can be taken down if everybody is leaving comments about that type of topic. Okay, so please don't. Godzilla is about Japan, not Godzilla. No, Godzilla is about a giant monster that likes to stomp on Japan. But you know what? If you went to see a Godzilla movie, Philip, and Godzilla wasn't in the movie, you would be pissed. Right? Now, is your Goliath almost done? I'm renaming my ship to the David. No, it's not gonna. You know what? I'm still willing to duel you tomorrow because the combat systems are for the most part in place. Not all of them, but most part are in place. But I'm curious to see how it holds up against the David, although I still like the lag more. And let's see. Alexander says, speaking about the comics, Captain Marvel was fighting him in the comics. It wasn't. It was even more during World War II. That may be, but Alexander, you have to understand, and this is nothing personal. Just so you know, this goes for everybody, and people have seen this come up before on my channel. YouTube is and Google are very much interested in censoring what they call hate speech. If you use that term, regardless of the context, it doesn't matter. I mean, there are channels, there are actual legitimate channels that talk about the history of World War II and were taken down because that word shows up a lot on their channel. All right? So, no, we do not talk about that. Not because I'm all PC and I don't want to offend anybody's tender ears, but because I don't want this channel taken down. And as much as I love you, Alexander, and everybody else here, if this channel disappears, then we ain't talking about anything. All right? So that's why that word is, unfortunately, you know, something that we cannot talk about openly. And so that's why you say the government from Germany in the 1940s or the leader of Germany in the 1940s, because you don't say that person's name either. And because it's, you know, the algorithm will flag this channel as hate speech. And I've been fighting the algorithm ever since they made the changes. So, yeah. M says, Max has been through a lot. We should let him recover. Miles says, by the way, I'm sure you didn't catch it, but Kronos called this the at symbol because that's the sound it makes when read out loud. Each gate symbol has a corresponding sound. I didn't know that. I did not know that. But thank you. So we are both AT. Well, no, you're not. Mr. Londell says, actually, it's Gojira, and it was originally meant to be more of an anti-war movie than anything else. Well, yeah, that's true. But you know what? Gojira, or Godzilla in American, and so I don't feel bad calling him Godzilla because the American film is called Godzilla. But the Godzilla franchise, yes, started out the concept behind Godzilla was as an anti-nuclear propaganda. Right, and I'm not saying that, I'm using the term accurately. So propaganda is not necessarily evil. Propaganda is not necessarily dishonest. Propaganda is simply entertainment that is designed to influence your opinion about a political topic. Right? So The Last Jedi is propaganda. Right? And many films are. If a film delves into politics, it is propaganda. But but the thing about, and so Godzilla started out as a anti-nuke propaganda piece.
Hello.
And Orville Nation, thank you so much.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
Puts in $2. It says, "Hey, Tricker, you are more awesome than Zelda." I cannot claim that, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much, my friend. But anyway, the propaganda piece of Godzilla was obviously anti-nuclear, and it still is to this day. I mean, even if you look at the newer American Godzilla films, the nuclear stuff is still there. But even so, Godzilla himself became a beloved character in Japanese lore, and if you were to make a movie called, I don't know, Godzilla versus the Space Monster, right? Which actually there is a movie with a title very similar to that. There's Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. But anyway, so that's the name of your movie, Godzilla versus the Space Monster. And in your movie, Godzilla never fights the space monster, and Godzilla's only in the movie for a couple of minutes. You would say, what the hell is this crap? And you know what? Some of the worst examples of Godzilla films are exactly that. And in fact, and Philip actually mentions the Godzilla 2014 film. A lot of people hated Godzilla 2014 because of the fact that Godzilla doesn't appear that much in the film. There are a lot of people that didn't like that. Now, you could claim that the story is boring, but you know what? Watch any Godzilla film, the story is boring. There is no such thing as a Godzilla film that you watch for the plot. It doesn't exist. You watch Godzilla to watch Godzilla fight monsters. That is the reason you watch a Godzilla film. If you are watching Godzilla movies expecting an incredibly deep and detailed story, you will not find it except for the 1954 Gojira. Outside of that, the Godzilla movies are incredibly lacking in story. Heck, look at the Series 2 and Series 3 of Godzilla. They get dumber every single time. The visuals get better, but the stories get dumber. Japan has an entire department of psychics that are there to fight Godzilla. And then they have the whole thing with Biolante and Space Godzilla and all that. It's just ridiculously stupid. But the monster fights are freaking awesome. And that's why people watch. And so now, you know, that, and you know, I really actually, and Shin Godzilla was horrible. Oh, that was, I hated Shin Godzilla. But if you look at Godzilla 2014, I liked Godzilla 2014. I know a lot of people didn't, but I liked it. In a way, it reminded me of some of the old school Godzilla. Because you know what? A lot of the older Godzillas from the 60s and 70s, between 50 and 75% of the movie was just build up to eventually Godzilla showing up and fighting. And then the climax of the movie was always Godzilla versus whatever it is. However, and that's kind of what we had in the 2014 Godzilla. It was a lot of buildup, and then that last 45 minutes or whatever it was, we had the big monster throwdown. That was a lot of fun. And Godzilla King of the Monsters, I actually really liked that too. I know a lot of people didn't, but I actually really enjoyed it. Because I don't go to a Godzilla movie expecting Academy Award-winning acting. I don't go to a Godzilla movie expecting a great story. I go to a Godzilla movie for the same reason that I love Pacific Rim. I want to see giant monsters fight. And Godzilla is a film franchise, a great film franchise that is 100% spectacle. All right? That's what it is. Now, and Mr. Miles said, or one of them, Mr. Miles says, Jurassic Park is what I watch if I want spectacle. Jurassic World, for example, dumb story, awesome spectacle. However, Jurassic Park doesn't have 400-foot tall fire-breathing dragons stomping on cities. Jurassic Park is a great film, don't get me wrong. But Godzilla is what you watch for monster fighting. The worst Godzilla movie is one Matthew Broderick did. No. Mr. Lundell, the worst Godzilla movie is Son of Godzilla. It is absolutely unbearably bad. Me and Mrs. Antitrigger watched it like a month ago. It is so bad. But yeah. Chrono says, is it wrong to not like Godzilla stuff at all? No! That's the thing. Godzilla is the very definition of, mindless entertainment, right? Godzilla is not deep storytelling or anything like that, except for, like I said, the 1954 Gojira. But other than that, Godzilla has never been deep intellectual stuff, despite what Alexander says. But the thing is that if you don't go for the spectacle, then there's not much there. right? If you go to a Godzilla movie not for monster fights, but because you want a great story, you're going to be disappointed. So yeah. M says with the baby Godzilla, yes. Son of Godzilla was the first appearance of the baby Godzilla, who was later, I can't remember what he was named, but it doesn't matter. It sucked. It was just, actually there is one that's worse. It's, oh gosh. It's the second one with the baby Godzilla, where baby Godzilla actually talks to this kid in his dreams to help him fight a bully. It was so freaking bad. But yeah, there's a couple of movies there in the late 60s, early 70s that were just unwatchably bad. And in fact, those movies even recycle footage over and over and over from prior films. They're just so bad. Cronus is saying, so you're saying I have a brain? No, I'm saying that your taste is, I enjoy a good deep story. I also enjoy a good spectacle movie. However, if the problem is when spectacle replaces story in a film that needs story, right? And that's what we've seen a lot of. M says, I effing saw that one. Yeah, it was so bad. Jurassic World is about hybrid dinos, smarter, stronger, able to turn invisible, and so on. It was along the same lines as Godzilla in that era. In a way, yeah, and I'll tell you, Jurassic World, though, I expected more from. I was disappointed by Jurassic World. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. For example, when Jurassic World 2 came out, I was like, I'll skip it. Because Jurassic World was not that great to me. But yeah. Kronos says, so you're saying I don't have a brain? No, not at all, Kronos. I'm saying that your tastes are not my tastes. Godzilla the Monster Truck for nerds. But yeah, I just don't, I don't care, if you love Godzilla and all that, then great, enjoy the crap out of it. If you hate Godzilla, well, then don't go see it. But let's not pretend Godzilla is something it's not. I personally enjoy a good Godzilla film, but a bad Godzilla film is infuriatingly bad because you know what? And this is where, Hollywood needs to understand what they're making when they make a movie. Here's how you make a good Godzilla movie. Step 1, make a badass fight scene. Step 2, weave together some kind of story to lead up to the badass fight scene. That's it. So, yeah. Sad thing is Jurassic World is the best sequel to Park. Yeah, it really is. The Jurassic Park 2 and 3 were far worse than Jurassic World. But I was disappointed by Jurassic World because everybody kept saying, oh, it's a return to form. And I was like, it's all right. Mr. Miles never cared for Godzilla. Fair enough. Mr. Wolverine, I'm pretty sure I have about 30 Godzilla movies on VHS. That's awesome. I will tell you, and part of the reason that I have such a soft spot for the King of the Monsters is very simple. It's the first movie I ever saw in theaters. Was not the 1954 Godzilla, obviously, but I believe it was 1973-ish. Let me double check. Let's see. It was... Come on. Bring up what I'm looking for. Yeah, 1973. One of the cheesiest but a fun movie. Godzilla versus Megalon. If you have not seen Godzilla versus Megalon, holy crap, is the story stupid beyond description. I will briefly summarize. A kid who wears inappropriately tight and short shorts is living with his 2 uncles in their bachelor pad while on a picnic. The lake is drained by aliens from another planet who want to take over the Earth by unleashing a couple of monsters on it. Godzilla, friend to children, is living on Monster Island. However, the kid's uncle also made a robot called Jet Jaguar. And Jet Jaguar is a sentient robot that reprograms himself, I'm not making this up, reprograms himself to grow to the size of Godzilla. Jet Jaguar is only normal human size, but he grows to the size of Godzilla. He also recruits Godzilla to come and help fight the monsters that are going to take over the world for the aliens. And in the final tag team battle, Godzilla and Jet Jaguar fight Megalon, and I can't remember the name of the other monster. I think it's Gigan. And they, and one of the most hilarious tag team matches in cinematic history, where if you've ever seen the credits for Mystery Science Theater 3000, there's a couple of clips from that movie in those credits where Godzilla does like a running Captain Kirk style drop kick against the monsters. It's just hilariously bad. But I saw that movie in theaters. And that was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I was like 5 years old at the time. But yeah. STD is always about spectacle, never about story, life like Godzilla. However, they do pretend like they do have a special... Well, and that's the thing, Mr. Miles. STD is part of a long-running, 50-plus year franchise that has always, up until STD, for good or for bad, has always lived or died based on story, right? Story and character. And STD lacks both. STD has got great spectacle, better spectacle than probably any other Trek. But it's not freaking Star Trek if it's about spectacle. Star Trek 2, who, most people will at least concede that it's one of the best Star Trek films. And a lot of people can, like myself, consider it as the best of Star Trek. But Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the visual effects are good, but are they mind-blowingly good? No. But it's not about that. Polgaraski, you need to watch Polgaraski. I have no idea what that is. Nostalgia it is, then, Trigger. Very powerful force it is. That's true. Hearing that plot, I have to ask, am I still high? Yeah, that's the thing. It is so freaking hilariously bad. But it was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. So, because at the time I was already, as a little kid, a Godzilla fan and a hardcore Star Trek fan, and my cousins took me to see it. Old Godzilla's like Adam West Batman. The good ones are. The bad ones are just horrible. Is it wrong? I think the best tag team in cinema was the Treks and Raptor fighting the hybrid in Jurassic World. No, it wasn't. I don't think that was a horrible fight. But I just didn't find Jurassic World that great. Have you ever seen Robot Jocks? Yes. I don't remember it very well, but I remember seeing it. And Mr. Williams, yeah, I love that one. Such a funny Godzilla film. It was hilarious. Alexander says Star Trek II is the best just after The Final Frontier. Of course you would say that. Oh, Alexander, what are we going to do with you? All right, so I'm about ready to move the med bay to its permanent location, I think, which is good. Let me take a look at the construction here, the med bay. All right, I keep doing that. I keep forgetting there's no gravity back here yet. Let's see. Rotate. All right, so medical room. Yeah, so we got to either connect it on the top or the bottom. We all give into nostalgia, Trigger. Don't be ashamed. Nah, it's all right. You know what? Nostalgia is awesome, and it has its place. And I don't have a problem with nostalgia being a reason to enjoy something. However, nostalgia should not be the only reason to enjoy something. And when it comes to Godzilla, I mean, I enjoyed Godzilla versus Megalon, but that's and why do I still enjoy it? Probably in part because it was the first movie I ever saw in theaters, but also at the time as a kid, I was already a Godzilla fan, and I got to see a Godzilla movie in theaters. That was freaking awesome. Let's see. But I still disagree with you. Batman a lot of times are more about the villains than Batman. I show me a Batman movie that's not about Batman. I will, Philip, if you can show me a Batman film where the villain has more screen time than Batman himself, meaning Bruce Wayne and Batman, because, you know, sometimes it's about Bruce, sometimes it's about Batman, same character. But if you could show me a Batman film that shows the villain more than Batman, you might have a point, but I can't think of one. Wesley says, what are you talking about? Well, we were talking about Batman, Godzilla, all sorts of stuff. Oh, I agree that that World is not a great movie. It's a fun popcorn flick, but the fight was awesome. Yeah, that's fine. As long as you're not fooling yourself into thinking that it's like, oh, this fine tour de force, when it's really not. Let's see. Mr. Miles says, the story for Star Trek 2009 wasn't good. It focused more on action scenes, just like STD, not hyper woke, but you're fine with holding the Trek title. Actually, The Dark Knight might show the Joker more than Batman. I disagree. I think if you... I watched The Dark Knight. Joker's scenes are just very memorable. But here's the problem. You remember every Joker scene from The Dark Knight because everybody was so blown away by Heath Ledger's performance, which, while I will say is good, it was overrated. But if you look at Batman, like, very few people, when they think of The Dark Knight, think about the scenes where Batman and Harvey Dent are having dinner, right? They don't think about the scenes where Batman is talking to Rachel about why he's not in a relationship, you know, stuff like that. You know, the boring stuff. Because let's be real, the hero, part of the reason that a hero can be defined by their villain is the heroes are almost always more boring than the villains. Let's see. Batman 89, Jack Nicholson had 15 seconds more screen time than Michael Keaton. Really? Well, okay. But I would say 15 seconds, so you could basically say they're tied. Although Jack Nicholson, to me, is the best Joker. Batman the Killing Joke is about Joker, not Batman. Well, I haven't... I saw The Killing Joke. I don't know if he's in it more. But also, look at that title. The Killing Joke. Yes, it's about Joker. But it's also about Batman. You know, otherwise it wouldn't be called Batman the Killing Joke. It would just be called, you know, The Joker, the Killing Joke. In fact, there was a Joker comic book. I have the first issue of it. Wasn't very good, but... Cronus, you skip over my chat for non-Rinchy? Sorry, Cronus, was not intentional. Batman Returns, Michelle Pfeiffer has 2 minutes more screen time than Keaton. Really? Well, that might be why Batman Returns was not the best. But I didn't know that. But, you know, the funny thing is, and you know, fine, if you want to say Batman, now Batman does have the best rogues gallery of any superhero. Even though I'm not a big DC fanboy or anything, I will definitely concede that the Batman rogues gallery is second to none. The closest Marvel has is Spider-Man's rogue gallery, and it pales to compare to Batman's. So there is that. All right, let's see if my new location for the med bay will work. Let's see. We need Godzilla versus MCU-MA naked. MCU-MA will be throwing bananas. That's an interesting proposition there. I don't know that MCU-MA would, in fact, win throwing bananas. Okay, looks like that's working. So far, so good. And, yeah. All right. And let's see. Every other Batman movie has Batman more screen time, including Dark Knight. Bale's 10 minutes more screen time than Ledger. Well, thank you for the research on that, Renegade. You are my official research department tonight. Mr. Mouse says, Guardians of the Galaxy, the heroes are not more boring than the villains. Ronan the Accuser was rather dull. I'll agree with you on that. Ronan the Accuser was not the best villain. And the Guardians of the Galaxy was all about the characters of the Guardians. But that's actually typical of Marvel. The Marvel formula, and you and I, Mr. Miles, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. You and I could probably talk all night about how awesome the Guardians of the Galaxy are. But the Marvel formula, and the Guardians is really Marvel formula at its absolute best, is to focus completely on the hero, with the exception of Infinity War. And they did that on purpose and directly because, you know, Infinity War is the only Marvel movie to focus on the villain. And That's because Marvel decided, and I think they were correct in this assumption, that the hero in Marvel is in fact the reason you're going to see. You go to see Captain America to see Captain America, not the Red Skull. You know. And let's see here. Why is Mr. Miles getting more attention? And Mr. Miles says, because I spam. That might be it. And Kronos, if I miss a few of your comments, it's not intentional. It really isn't. I'm horrible at getting all the comments in. I know that's a weakness of mine, but I will continue to try my very best to keep you satisfied in a non-sexual way. And Miss Rouse says, start copying and pasting skip messages. That's the secret. I'll tell you, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad strategy at all, because yes, I miss comments a lot. And especially when I'm doing a stream like this, where I'm actually gaming while I'm talking, it would be, if I miss your comment, then the best thing you can do is to repost that comment until I say it. And make sure you put the @anti-tricker in it so that hopefully I can see it. For example, Kronos, those last two comments of yours, you did not put @anti-tricker in, but the Renegade did. So the Renegade's comment jumps out while I'm playing the game. I see that orange block pop up. But when you said, why is Mr. Miles getting more attention and unsubbing, there's nothing there that says @anti-tricker. So I can't tell at a glance if you're directing that at me or someone else. Anyway, the Renegade says, Marvel villains are forgettable except Loki and Thanos. I think some of the villains, I think that the villains in Marvel are just basically they're MacGuffins. They're just there to move the plot forward. And I'm okay with that. So, yeah. Mr. Miles says, after I saw Spider-Man 3 more for Venom than Spider-Man, and wow, was I let down. I die a little that day. Yeah, that was bad. The Topher Grace Venom was horrible. That was absolutely really bad. Kronos says, Bird could be watching. He was watching earlier. I don't know. It's about 9 o'clock, so I'm going to be wrapping up in here in a minute, but, he could be. And Kronos says, I know, Tricker, I'm lazy. Well, I know. But here's the thing, Kronos. Obviously, I love you, man, and you're a good friend of the channel, and I appreciate everything you've done to support me. And so you should know that it's certainly not intentional if you miss your comment. My phone keeps putting Trekker with a lowercase t. Well, that's okay, Wesley. The anti-Trekker on that comment is still highlighted, so that's fine. Alexander says, hey, Trigger, Darkseid is stronger than Thanos. Well, that's actually an interesting supposition. It depends on who's writing and all that. And yes, Wesley, they did both pop up in red or orange or whatever the heck it is. Darkseid, Thanos is a blatant ripoff of Darkseid. And I'm not saying that on any kind of supposition. The creators of Thanos fully admit it. That Thanos was inspired by Darkseid. There are several characters that, you already unsubbed. Well, Kronos, you can resub, or maybe YouTube will. Thanos, but Thanos, Thanos doesn't have anything quite like the Omega Beams, but Thanos is a pretty powerhouse character. But yeah, I think Darkseid would probably beat Thanos unless Thanos had the gauntlet. But Thanos and Darkseid, while they started out one as a ripoff of the other, they kind of they evolved into their own unique characters. And I, being a Marvel fanboy, I kind of like Thanos better than Darkseid. Darkseid, I don't know. I just never really cared for his character except for in a couple of comics. But yeah. And so you don't believe in the false protagonist is not that the false protagonist is not a valid story device. It can be, but here's the thing. If I am going to a movie and the movie is part of a franchise and the franchise has an established hero, and that hero is the title character of the franchise, right? It would be, for example, let's say you go to see the new James Bond film. And I don't, there's all the rumors about the black female 007 who's probably only going to be in the movie for 2 minutes. But let's say that's not the case. Let's say that you go to see the movie, and I don't know what its title. I heard somewhere that they have a title released for it, but I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, new 7 movie title. No Time to Die. Okay. So the Bond 25, the official title is No Time to Die. So you go to see No Time to Die, and you're all excited. And, every James Bond movie starts in roughly the same formula. Bond is on a mission. Something happens. The mission usually ends with a gunshot, opening credits, right? And so we start out and we see Bond, Daniel Craig's Bond, on his mission. He's doing whatever badassery that he's going to do. And then he gets shot and killed. Then credits. And then the rest of the movie is about the new black female 007. Everybody who is a fan of the Bond series would feel ripped off. But then, in the last 10 minutes of the movie, we find out that he wasn't really killed, and they managed to save his life. And so at the very end of the movie, he comes back to M's office and resumes his role as 007. Wouldn't that be great? That's what they did in Mad Max Fury Road. And I'm sorry, I don't, I don't like that. So, yeah. Was Dr. Quest and Race Brannon a couple? When I watched as an adult, I had to wonder. I don't know, and I don't care to speculate. And I like The Dead of Suprema. I'm not sure what you mean, Philip. What if I made a James Bond film about the legacy of James Bond after he died? Well, I would dare say that it depends. If was James Bond in it, or is it just a bunch of people talking about James Bond, or do we see a bunch of flashbacks? Alexander says, let's suppose then that it's a movie about the MCU Aunt May naked, and she's dressed all the time. It would be sad. Yes. Sure, Alexander. If you were, let's say that they actually released Alexander's dream movie, and the dream movie of Alexander is, of course, The Adventures of MCU Aunt May Naked, right? That's the name of the film. And so Alexander runs to his local theater as fast as he possibly can to go see the new MCU Naked Aunt May film. And as it turns out, while in the opening credits, Aunt May is indeed naked, she then puts on clothes and keeps the clothes on for the entire film. Alexander would be crushed. So yes, very good example, Alexander. So, side is a word, side is not. I'm not sure whether... Dark Side was called Dark Seed, waiting for the backlash. Oh, you know what? I called him Dark Seed for a long time. Yeah, I get you. Philip, it's not. And again, I'm not saying that Mad Max Fury Road was a bad film. I don't think it was, but I just didn't like the bait and switch, and to me that was a detractor of the film, even though some people think it was just like the greatest thing ever because finally a strong female protagonist, like it had never happened before, because for some reason people forget about all the strong female protagonists of the past every time a new movie comes out that touts itself and pats itself on the back for having a strong female protagonist. And I'm sorry, but you know what? A strong female protagonist is not a selling point of a film, ever. And not that you can't have a good, strong female protagonist, but that's not the reason to see a film. Virtue signaling is not why I go see films. Ever. I go see films because they look like they're good. And if the lead is male, female, doesn't matter. What matters is that is it a good story, interesting characters, or damn good spectacle. If it's one or more of those things, then I may go see it. If it's only one of those things and it doesn't look incredibly impressive, then I probably will wait until it comes out on video or something. If it's none of those things, then I generally will only see it if a friend says, you've got to see this movie. And so, and sometimes it might, if it's a subject matter that I don't care about, then who knows? Kronos wants to know, why are you killing your own ship? I'm not killing the ship, Kronos. I'm remodeling. I'm taking out a non-load bearing wall to expand. See, this whole area is going to be enclosed. The roof is not done yet, obviously, but this whole area is going to be enclosed, and this is only one side of the ship. The other side is on the other side of this wall. As you can see, it's under there, and so this floor is going to go all the way across to here. Thomas says, you're still alive. Don't go anywhere. Well, I'll give you a few minutes, Thomas, but I was getting ready to finish up. Mr. Miles says, more virtue, less signaling. Yes. And that's the thing. If you want to demonstrate that you can have a badass female lead, just do it. But don't advertise the film as being, oh, we finally have a movie with a strong female lead. But that's what they're going to do every time. Strong female protagonists aren't something new to movies anyway. Ever heard of the movie called Mr. Miniver? Or Mrs. Miniver? Never heard of that one. However, strong female characters have been around for a very long time. And there are movies where you find strong female characters, way back. So, yeah. But if a movie is, like, for example, why is it that we're even talking about the black female 007, right? Why are we even talking about it when the movie isn't even, like, I don't know, when is it supposed to come out? Let me see. New 007 movie release date. April 8th, 2020 is when Bond 25 comes out. Next freaking April. All right? So, we are, we're still, 8 months away? 7? So why are we talking about this black female 007? Why? Because the studios wanted to make sure that we all knew about it, because, hey, isn't everybody going to want to go see the movie now that we have a black female 007? And the answer to that is a resounding no. That is not a selling point. Imagine if then it's a movie about the Victorian baboon woman, but we finally get a remake of the Wild Wild West. It would be wrong. Yeah, it's called bait and switch. So, how does Bond die in the first few minutes? The film is about a new agent trying to bluff everyone into believing he's still alive, and we're to use the character to explore what Bond means to the world. Philip. Yeah, you know what? If you go ahead and try. You make a James Bond movie that doesn't have freaking James Bond in it except for at the very beginning and very end of the film, it will get more backlash. Not because the replacement is a female, not because the replacement is black, but because Bond's not in the frickin' movie. And let's see. Cinnabon says, Thomas, show us that thing you were working on? Okay. It's a story about a woman that survives the London Blitz. If you ever get the opportunity to see it, I highly suggest it. Which movie? I missed you there. Are you staying on Space Engineers after the stream for a short time? Maybe for a few minutes, Thomas, but not very long, because I do need to get some rest. I got a long day tomorrow. And Thomas says, Cinnabon by the swimming pool. You don't tell him about the swimming pool. We don't want Bird to know everything about the base. But yeah, I don't. The ranting is getting stronger. I know. I'm getting crazy. Oh, so there's a sound block. Okay. Oh, there's the pack rat. I see. Yeah, I know that you guys were that we've been talking about getting sound blocks working in the game, so hopefully that is a thing now. And yeah, apologize for the overt ranting, guys. I do that a lot. MCU made Naked would be a strong female character. We could discover then naked she becomes a ninja fighting with bananas. Alexander, you really are crazy. Wesley, my friends and I came up with a good script idea for a Bond movie. Hard to share it here. Yeah, I understand. But the thing is that there's a lot of potential at Bond. But yeah, you know. But but changing Bond into a different race and different gender, that's just stupid. Now you're just, you know, you're basically trying to score points with the far left people, which aren't really all that interested in seeing your movie anyway. But you're talking about marketing. Earned media marketing base on controversy and lazy pandering over storytelling. Yeah, well, the reason they're advertising it now is that. However, what they also did with Mad Max and is that was a bait and switch, right? That would be as if it was the Bond thing. Mrs. Miniver turning classic movies. Okay, that's okay. Got you, Mr. Lundell. In my example of the Bond thing, let's suppose that the story, because I have a feeling that the black female 007 is really only going to be in a couple of minutes of the film, right? And that it's going to be one of those things that either, like at the beginning of the film, maybe Bond is retired and she is the current 007, but then they pull Bond out of retirement and she loses her 007 status or something, and maybe even, you know, and either she's not in the rest of the film or she ends up just being a Bond girl for the rest of the film. Now, if that's the case, why are you advertising it? That's stupid, right? Because what you're doing is a bait and switch to the SJW crowd, because you're saying, hey, we got a black female 007, but she's in the movie for 2 minutes, right? And then the SJWs will be pissed off, and they're going to say, well, she wasn't in the movie enough, and you just get a backlash from that side. Or let's say, and this is what happened with Mad Max Fury Road, it's the way the story that I described it. At the beginning of the movie, Bond is supposedly killed. She is the 007 for the entire adventure, but then at the end of the movie, Bond recovers and gets back on the job. And they don't advertise it that way. That every commercial you see features James Bond doing badass James Bond stuff, but what you don't realize is that that's all in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then Bond is dead. You would feel like it was a bait and switch, and I don't want that. Just like I didn't like what they did to Luke Skywalker in both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, right? The Force Awakens was a whole thing because we were all excited about, because they talked about, Luke Skywalker's going to be in it, right? Ooh, Mark Hamill's in it. Ooh, awesome. And then we go to see the movie, and he's in one shot in the entire film, and he has 0 lines of dialogue. And we're like, what the hell is that? Oh, well, now we got to wait till the next movie. And the next movie, they completely assassinate his character. Wesley says, in short, the new Bond runs into Sean Connery. He explained that every few years, M's take out the old Bond, replace him with a new brainwashed agent to be Bond. That sounds like the old Casino Royale film. Not the one with Daniel Craig, but the old one with Woody Allen, which I never really watched. But I understand there's like 18 James Bonds in it because James Bond is just a code name for their top agent. Alexander says, I'd like crossover between Godzilla and James Bond. Bond could have a mission to free Godzilla from a terrorist organization trying to clone him. You know, the funny thing is that could actually work. I think the whole black woman replacing 007 thing is just a fishing expedition. I tend to agree. But yeah. Cinnabon says, I'm going to add a mod tonight. Don't worry, it's not a cheat mod. I think you'll like it, and I'll show everyone how to use it. All right, Cinnabon. Hopefully, as long as it doesn't cheapen the whole game, that's fine. There's a middle ground they can take. Bond retires. New 007 Bond is pulled out of retirement, but takes the new 007 retains code, but is essentially a Bond girl. Yeah, they could do something like that. But here's the thing. I will tell you that to me, there are only 2 people that have ever really played James Bond. Those 2 people are Sean Connery and Daniel Craig. Now, do not get me wrong. I love the Roger Moore movies. I actually really like the Pierce Brosnan movies. Didn't care so much for the Timothy Dalton films. And the George Lazenby on Her Majesty's Secret Service, not my favorite. But when you look at Bond, Sean Connery and Daniel Craig, watch those movies back to back. You watch the Sean Connery films and the Daniel Craig movies. Feels like it's the same character, just that Daniel Craig is the modern take on it, right? And Surf says, later, can't think of anything funny to type. That's okay, Surf. You're awesome. Have a good one. But you take the Sean Connery and you take Daniel Craig, and it feels like the same character, just one filmed in the 60s, one filmed in the 21st century. Then you look at Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan, and they feel like the same character, but it's a different character than the character that Sean Connery and Daniel Craig played. And interestingly enough, of course, Sean Connery famously Scottish, and then Daniel Craig in Skyfall, we established that Bond is Scottish. Just kind of funny. But that's kind of so when I look at the Roger Moore films, do I like those movies? Heck yeah. I grew up on the Roger Moore films, right? And I've seen The Spy Who Loved Me more times than I can freaking count. And I still love that movie, but with Roger Moore, it was all about the cheese. But yeah. But Timothy Dalton, he was odd man out. He actually reminds me a lot of George Lazenby. They tried to make Bond more celibate. They tried to make him less of a ladies' man, and that doesn't work for Bond. Sorry. But after anyone sees, we can vote whether or not to keep the mod. Absolutely, Cinnamon, that's fine. Timothy Dalton plays a better villain anyway. Well, I really liked Timothy Dalton in Penny Dreadful. I thought he was really good. Thomas says, Space Engineers closed on me just as I got in. I'm trying again. Yeah, well, I'm still in the game. The server's not down or anything, obviously. And I would like a crossover between MCU Aunt May Naked franchise and Neelix series. MCU Aunt May could ally with Neelix to open a sexy restaurant where she made home delivery. That one I don't think could work. Imagine Sean Connery and Craig working together as old one in new Bond versus M. I could see that, but the biggest problem with a story like that is, number one, Sean Connery will never come back. Sean Connery is retired quite some time ago, and he has been offered dump trucks full of money to come out of retirement on multiple occasions, and he won't do it. And yes, sorry, Mr. Miles, I did see it the first time. Yes, I did like the first Kingsman movie. I have not seen the second one. I heard that it was significantly weaker than the first one. And if they are doing a Kingswomen or a Queensman movie, I'm not going to even bother. So is your argument the brand selling just because of James Bond? You're not talking about the story itself. Well, James Bond is the brand. When you're talking about 007, right? Nobody says, well, it doesn't have to be James Bond. Would you really go see a 007 movie that didn't have James Bond in it? Now, you might, but you know what? 99.9% of people would say, what the hell is this? Because James Bond is the brand. Just like we were talking about Godzilla a few minutes ago, Philip. Godzilla is the brand. So you can't make a Godzilla movie without Godzilla. You can't make a 007 movie without James Bond. And I'm sorry that, some people don't like that, but hey, if you want to make a movie about 009, fine. But, that's not going to work. Let's see. I'd like to have a crossover between the MCU and the MCU. We could have two MCU Aunt May Nakeds at the same time. That would be weird. Philip says, I would, but you're talking about marketability. Yes, I am talking about marketability. Marketability is a key factor in movie making. And Mr. Landau says 007 equals Bond. James Bond. Yes. That's probably the most iconic line in the latter half of the 20th century. The whole Bond, James Bond line that was spoken, I believe, in every single Bond film you know, you have to have that line. You absolutely have to have that line. When my friends and I were thinking of the idea, it was like 15 years ago or so before Craig. Yeah, that was right about the time that Sean Connery retired, I believe. But yeah, I miss Sean Connery. I thought he was great. And Thomas is in the game now, very good. So, but with that, I do need to retire because it is getting late. But thank you guys. I know it's been a crazy long stream. For those of you that stuck through the whole thing, I truly do appreciate it. And let's see, how long are we going to go? 3 hours and 17 minutes. So not the longest stream I've ever done, but a decent length stream for sure. Maybe, just maybe I'll do a really long stream sometime before I get back to work. But with all that, guys, let me say this. I love you even when I disagree with you. Philip, obviously, no hard feelings. We can disagree all day long, but I still think you're a great guy. And Mr. Miles is a dick, but I still love him. And with that, I need to give Alexander his nightly gift.
The board vessel's moving into range.
On screen.
Let's get lost in that magic place all alone now. Drink a fill from my fountain of love, wet your lips. I'm a man, I'm a teaser, I'm a man, well I'm a virgin, I'm a man, I'm a one-night stand, a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a dream, I'm a dream divine, make love together.
He's dead.
And with that, I will bid you all adieu. Thank you, Alexander, for your generosity as always. I do truly appreciate it. And yes, you've been here for the entire stream, I believe, and I appreciate that as well. For the rest of you, I thank you all for being the best damn group on YouTube. And I know I said that earlier in this stream, but I absolutely mean it every time I say that because you guys are freaking awesome. And with that, have a great night and take care.